Squirrel Rosenberg Radio, coming to you live and direct as we get ready to switch the scenes up and get into some intimate conversations. First and foremost, I want to take a time out to just give a thanks for everybody who took their time out to be here tonight with your boy. Of course, I want to give a shout out to Louis the Baker, who we sampled some really... how do we describe that, Dr. Jen? What was
sinful, yummy, yum?
Yes.
Yum. Dark chocolate, yum.
Yeah.
Absolute decadence.
Yeah. Sinful decadence is actually what we thought we used on that.
Decadence.
And you know what? When I thought about that, then Ron and Omnika came in, and what we sat around and just really built and enjoyed that session, which will be available on our SoundCloud and will be available live streaming on our Facebook. However, as we get ready to get into the meat of what we do here at Squirrel Rosenberg Radio, which is chop into the 4 don'ts, which is sex, family, religion, and politics. I just want to let everybody know that in a few, we're gonna get deep. But before we do that, I want to just reintroduce my guest. First and foremost, going from my left, I have Louis the Baker. Thank you for checking in tonight.
Pleasure to be here.
I appreciate the effort you made getting here and the fact that we are located in the most sketchiest part of town.
It's colorful.
This is my new state of secretary right here.
Just call it colorful.
Yeah, I like that.
Lord knows it is.
Yeah, it is. I want to give a thanks to Omnika for coming in. Yeah, there you go. Ellie for popping up, and of course adding that beautiful flavor that I appreciate that you always do. And Dr. Jen, who's
in the house.
Yeah,
Hi,
exactly.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, it's a pleasure for having you.
Hope
So
to be on again and again.
Before we even jump into that,
Whoa.
yeah, right. Yeah, why don't we do that? So before we even jump into really why it's an honor to be here, I just want to let everybody know that, you know, when we met Louis here, my wife and I were I picked you up from work, and she was like, yeah, let's go have a drink real quick. And we went to this local restaurant in our town.
By the way, that's always the quote. Pick me up from the train.
Let's go have a drink. So
Drinks and tacos, because
What are you
y'all
doing?
had tacos that night
we
too.
We did have some tacos that night.
Yep.
However, I just want to share the organicness of, and if that's a Jamaican word or is that an English word?
What?
Organicness.
We'll call it Jamaiclish.
Exactly.
There you go.
We'll call it Jamaiclish.
Yo.
Louis is here.
Yeah, no, I like
We'll call it
that. No, but
Jamaiclish.
what the reason why I use that word was because it was organic the way we kind of met.
Right.
And we sat at the bar, we ordered our typical Heinekens.
Technically, can I tell the story? So, we are tequila
Heinekens.
connoisseurs. Well, so Heineken for him. I love a good tequila, right? So when we got, we ordered Don Julio. We were excited that not every, place has Don Julio, especially if you're going to go to like a hole in the wall, someplace comfortable.
Yeah, like a dive bar type setup.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, not that the place where we went was a dive bar, but
No, definitely not.
But it's surprising that any place would have Don Julio. So when we asked for a Don Julio, we got Don Julio, and it tasted, in my opinion, right? Because I'm very
Be
attuned
truthful.
to
This
the
is
taste.
Squirrel Rosenberg Radio. We love the truth.
I am. I'm about to be.
Be real.
Drop it
on the
Be
real.
real. Be real.
Drop it like it's
So
hot.
I was like, wait a minute.
Keep it real. Keep it real.
This shit tastes like friggin' Cuervo, and I so despise Cuervo,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the whole Casamigo and all these different tequilas that come out, like I'm always turned off by it because it always has like this alcohol sting at the end of it, and there's like the flavor that it leaves in your mouth is usually like that whole distilled sort of kind of.
It's not pleasant.
No,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not.
It's not pleasant.
So that's kind of the taste that was left in our mouth after we had the Don Julio shots. And I said, wait a minute, they're freaking doing one
Subbing,
of those.
yeah.
So I
Doing
said,
a double
how about
take.
we order a Cuervo?
That's
and then
where
we
you
do-
came in.
And we do
Right.
like a comparison, right? So we've had the Don Julio. We are not kind of comfortable with the taste that it left in our mouth. Let's try the Don Julio. And so we were going to do a comparison. And this wonderful guy walks over, sachets over, and says, "Hey." and not
Would that
only
be you?
That would be me.
Yes,
That would be me.
Louis
Yeah,
came
yeah.
over and he was just so warm, and he was like, on the house, we don't have any more Don Julio. I mean, not
Jose Cuervo.
Jose Cuervo.
Jose Cuervo, yeah.
And I was like, thank God, because
And honestly, I wouldn't.
Justin-
I would not let you drink
Yeah,
that.
it was a spoof.
Yeah.
It was a spoof on
And I
she's
said-
trying to prove a point.
Well, I was trying to prove a point, which is why I ordered it. But what came out of it, I think, which is what I think you describe as organic, right? So what came out of it was like this just beautiful connection. You know, Lewis came over and just kind of described this pasión. I was turned off by it because it's a pink tequila. I don't like fruit. I don't like sugars. I like straight no
Straight up.
chaser.
You like what
Like-
you're drinking to taste like
the oak, like
real,
what it's-
like what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I'm into like beers. I'm into my Don Julio. If I'm gonna have anything, it's either the Reposado, the Añejo, or I'm gonna do the 1942.
And by the way, for ladies
Nothing
and
else.
gentlemen of the Squirrel Rosenberg channel, just to know, when she say beers, she meant Heineken, our number one sponsor to the Squirrel Rosenberg channel. So let's keep that focused.
Right.
As you were saying, keep it moving.
Although IPAs kind of have.
Whoa.
that
We're
were,
drinking
you know,
Heinekens on the Squirrel
that's
Rosenberg
fine,
channel.
That's fine. You know, Aligash is kind of
Amsterdam.
right. So, so Lewis comes over and he has like this pink bottle, and it was close to Valentine's Day.
Yes, it was.
Of course.
Yes.
He's has like this energy and this life in him, and he's like, the way he describes it, and it's pasión, and not passion tequila, it's pasión. And
Yeah, you sold us
he-
on the pronunciation, my
not-
friend.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I
No.
mean, if you're gonna drink something, you want to be able to pronounce it. I mean, you want to be able to
feel
say,
it, like
"Oh yeah, what are you drinking?" Passion. What? Like, what
No.
the hell is passion? I mean,
no.
the word alone, passion. It's like, you know, you have to put life in it. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
pasión.
Pasión. De la novela.
Pasión.
Pasión.
Yeah. Wow. So with that being a so passionate and eloquent intro, let me segue into, let me know where you're from. Let me know a little bit about Lewis. Where are you originally from?
the baker.
I'm born and raised in Passaic, New Jersey.
Okay.
I have one younger brother, almost 9 years younger than me. My parents to this day are still together, and they just celebrated their 46th wedding anniversary.
Oh wow.
Beautiful.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
salute.
Just celebrated their
Absolutely.
46th wedding
That's
anniversary.
That's big. That's big. That's big.
And it's been rough. I'm not gonna say it hasn't been.
In what way?
I came out not too long ago to my family in 2004,
Oh, let's salute that. Let's
And-
salute that. Let's salute that. No,
and it was
that's
hard.
big. That's
it was
big.
hard. I mean, I
It's
always
big.
had
It's big.
I always had that weight, you know, and I just
Yeah.
couldn't, you know, I just couldn't take it anymore because it was affecting my health.
Yeah, what was that tipping
yes.
point? What was it that said, you know, F it, I gotta, let me do that with Squirrel Rosenberg way.
I just said
what was it that
that's
made you say,
essence.
fuck it, I gotta make this move?
I just have to do it because I said if I want to stop with the headaches, the migraines, the heartache,
It was affecting you
I
psychologically.
have to be true to myself.
Essence.
Yeah,
That's right.
exactly. That's the word. You know, I have to be true to myself, and my essence is not being in a closet. You know, I mean, when I finally did, it was hard. It was hard. You know,
Why? Because of the cultural.
it's the cultural upbringing of my parents and not accepting and whatnot. And you know what? And it took me a long time, and it took me up to this year, and not really actually distancing myself from my family. I've realized that, you know what, they're never going to accept it, you know, and I'm still their son.
So they still have a relationship with you.
Now we're taking baby steps to build that relationship again.
That's great.
On their
The
terms.
one thing, no,
On your terms.
it's on my terms.
Wow. No, I salute it. I salute
It's
that.
on my terms
Yeah,
because
salute
I
that.
do love my family. I do love my parents, and you know, a long time ago that umbilical cord got cut, You know, people say, "Oh, you're a mama's boy." I'm not a mama's boy.
Yeah.
I'm very close to my mother.
That's
You know, my
beautiful.
brother was very close to my father.
Okay.
You know, that's normally the way it is with siblings. You know, if it's only
Yeah.
two of them, one will be closer to one than the other.
Amen to that.
I love my I love my father to death. My father just celebrated, you know, his 66th birthday on Wednesday, and I hadn't spoken to him since last year. Wow, no, actually before that. No, actually, it was like December the year before. And it was so good to actually call him on, you know, for their wedding anniversary, which was the 13th of this month.
Right.
Found out he was really sick, and I mean, I knew ahead of time, but he didn't know that, which once he hears this, he probably will, but then my mother will have to translate. And it was so good to hear his voice. I mean, when I called him on his birth, actually, when my cousin who was I kept telling her, the minute you get to the house, call me. And I was just gonna talk to him. I actually took it 10 steps further. I actually went onto YouTube and I pulled up one of the biggest birthday songs. It's called Las Mañanitas.
Okay. What does
You
that
know,
mean?
The mornings,
Yeah.
it's hard to translate.
Okay.
But it's very big in Mexico and Latin America. And as I was playing that, I had the phone on speaker right by the, you know, I could hear him, you know, calling my attention. I just completely ignored him and I let the song play.
Okay.
And as it's playing, I'm in the background just bawling my eyes out.
Wow.
Because that's the second time that we've spoken, and it's just getting so much better. I mean, it's baby steps.
Yes. Yes.
You know, I'm
yes.
rebuilding a whole new relationship with my
Yes,
family.
Yes. Yes.
Even if they don't accept, which is fine. That's fine. I mean, my mom's 68 years of a cultural upbringing. It's not going to change overnight.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's not going to,
yeah,
and I accept that. And I
Yeah.
love my parents to death, and I know they love me. And I know they love me. I mean, I'm their son. You know, will they ever meet my partner? You know, my husband, which will be in 2 years.
Oh,
you know, very soon that we got married.
Wow.
I don't know. But like I said, it's all just baby steps.
Yes.
I'm trying to put his experience into perspective, where if I was like passionately in love with someone, you know, and I couldn't bring you home, and I couldn't, like, it wasn't accepted that I brought you home, or that you and I had a relationship, that's devastating. That's like,
Well, you know what makes it so much easier? My parents live in a totally different state. My parents live 860 miles away.
my parents live
So it's
2,000
easier.
miles away. I don't know that I understand what you're saying, right? The distance that
Right.
that
They
you
don't
know,
have to
day to
see
day,
it.
you don't
Yeah,
have that
yeah,
relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
They
My-
don't have to be confronted with,
Yeah.
you know.
My family, I mean, day to day, like, I talk to my sisters on a weekly basis. If I don't talk to them, it's there's something wrong,
Right.
you know. And same thing, before my mom got sick, I used to call them once a week, practically, you know. And if I didn't, it was something was wrong, you know. So to not be able to share that relationship,
Yeah.
or be comfortable with the relationship
Yeah.
enough to say, you know, this is my husband. That's devastating, and I can't imagine.
But you know
like,
what? But you know what's
being able
funny?
to-
My cousin is my, what do you want to call it? Megaphone down there?
Okay.
Mm.
Advocate.
When you
The-
say
the-
down
Yeah.
there, you mean, like,
My
where
folks
are
live in
they?
South Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah, they live inside. I mean, they migrated from up here down there.
Okay.
Um,
That's actually a different planet. You know that, right?
And culturally,
telling?
you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
I
it's
mean,
a
we'll
whole-
we'll get to the brother aspect of it in a minute.
Mississippi.
Oh.
yeah.
So,
Okay.
I
All right.
know
So just
exactly what
yeah,
you're
just
talking
let
about.
everybody know this is what we treasure on Squirrel Rosenberg Radio, is where all these different aspects are gonna come, because if we thought we're dealing with differences and the aspects and the appreciation of the differences, when we get off Lewis and we get your perspective, it has to be profound.
Well, I'm gonna let you finish.
On a
but when-
southern background, I know, because
Yes.
my brother, who I love him, Do I miss him? Yes. Actually told me, I was best man at his wedding. Actually told me when I asked him if he would stand by my side, on the most important day of my life, because it took me 42 years to finally find the person that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. And I asked him, and he was like, no, I don't think I could stand there and watch two men kiss.
Wow.
I go, really? I go, love is love, no matter what shape or form. Love is love. If you don't like it, then just turn away. But to have you there would have meant the world.
Yeah.
But it's okay, because my friends, and they always say this, your friends are more your family than your own family is.
Yeah, that is true.
Sometimes, yes.
A lot of
That
times.
is true.
Yep,
Yeah,
I
a lot of
agree.
times. Yeah.
But I give you kudos for accepting their love. Even your brother said, I don't think I can do that. But the fact that you said, I love you anyway, Dad, Mom, I love you anyway, and that you accept their love and you know that, you didn't tell yourself a story that they hate me or they rejected me, or you didn't start building this wall.
You're right.
Which
Yes.
is something we do to ourselves in any situation. We build our own story, we create characters, we house it, we nurture that story, and before you know it, we identify with that story.
Yeah.
You have not identified with it. You have kept it real.
And I know
And
my
you have
parents
said-
love me.
Exactly.
And
And
I know
that's
they love me.
such a beautiful
she
place to
always-
be.
Right. And she always says, I love you. You're my son. But then I would take it a step further and say, then why, if you told me years ago that you love me unconditionally, why are there conditions?
And let me just kind of go off of what Ellie was saying. It's hard, right? So you said, you can't imagine you not being able to bring your husband home or to your family. It's kind of the same. It's not so much that person. It's not your spouse. It's more of the acceptance of your role,
Conditions.
your role as a person in their life. They known you as their boy, as their world, as their whatever they perceive their son to be. And because you've become an outlier, so to speak, out of that role, it's very hard for them to accept. So it's not the spouse, it's not the other person, that's an outlet. I think it's just definitely way more the perspective of your role. Is not the traditional way of being, and that is what kind of spooks people out.
Yeah, that's true.
And like I tell everyone, and even a lot of people tell me, oh my God, the day your family, your parents meet Oscar, they will see how much he truly loves you and how much you love
And Oscar
him.
is your partner.
Oscar's my partner.
Yeah.
And it's you and your brother? Are you
It's
the only
just
siblings?
it's just my brother and I.
Right. And you're
It's
the
just
oldest.
and I am the
You're
oldest.
Wow.
So I think it's fate that we're at this table right now together, because not only am I from the South, so I understand that mindset, but my dad was gay.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so I can tell you from this other perspective.
And a Southern.
So my father was born in 1928 in Florida, and black man, gay. They didn't know what really that. Nobody knew what that was.
But who don't want to take that on?
Right.
I'm already behind the eighth ball
at
being
that
black.
time.
Oh
We're
my
And
in
then
God.
throw gay on top of that.
Yeah.
It's just like
Like when they say
We're-
triple threat in terms of like your
Right.
talent, in this case, it's
Right.
Wow.
you're
Wow.
black male and you're in the South and you're gay.
Yeah.
First person in his family to go to college, served in the Korean War,
Yeah.
went
Yeah.
overseas
Yeah.
Wow.
to Japan and taught little Japanese kids music. Came back. My mother, who was 15 at the time, people can't understand this. She was 9
Your
years younger
mother.
than my mother.
Not your grandmother, your
Not
mother.
my grandmother. 15 at the time. Her mother tells her, and she was a very stunning, beautiful woman. And
I can see
those of
that. We
us
can
of
see
color-
that. We can see that. We can see that. Yeah, you got the jeans?
Those of us of color at the table will know what this is like in the black community, where is, well, we're all of color really, but it will know what this is like in the black community where someone looks white and they can pass as white. That was my mom. And so she was a commodity at 15 years old. And her mother told her, you've got 2 suitors, pick one of them or get out of the house.
Yeah.
Because your child, your daughter was the way to a better life then, right?
Oh, okay.
So she picked my dad. My dad didn't know what he was. Like, again, this was a different era now from what you're dealing with.
Which means your dad had to conform.
He had to conform, or he thought he had to conform. Went to Morehouse, all this stuff. He's very educated. He was very educated. And she chose my dad. They got married a couple of years after their first children together, and I'm one of 6. He gets caught with another man. Well, that was illegal in that day.
Oh my God!
You could be arrested. Being
African American was illegal in that day.
Being African American was illegal.
Let's just go back to really what's.
My father, first of all,
wow.
had to ride. If he's driving in a car with my mother, had to have her in the back seat because cops would pull them over thinking she was white and he was in the front seat with a white woman.
Now, is this still Florida? All of this is still Florida,
Mississippi, all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
She discovers he's gay because he's caught and he's arrested and loses his teaching license and all this kind of stuff.
Wow.
They break up for a year. He decides he wants to come back and be a father. He wants to make this work. I mean, this is an era where we're not where we are now. Now we have same-sex marriage. We have, we have marriage equality, I should say. We have marriage equality. We have acceptance. Now we're on to transgender rights, right? Now we're
which is
debating
really,
that. It's a whole nother ballgame.
Profound,
Now, this was a day when all that was illegal. He comes back, we want to make this work. They tried to make it work for 27 years.
Wow.
Had 6 children together, and it literally drove my mom to alcoholism. And he could not deny who he was in those 27 years. In those 27 years, he was still who he was. And he's gone now, but full circle, he finally became who he was. My mother went off and she got better and she was healed and all that. But I think about what he would think of the age we're living in now. So full circle, I now work with NBC News. One of my long-term anchors is gay, and he and I are like brother and sister, and we've been together for years. And Ron and I went to his wedding. So I go to his wedding, and I'm thinking, what would my dad think to be here? By then, he was gone.
No, but however,
he was gone before we had the first black president. So he never saw the first black president elected. He never saw marriage equality become law. And he lived his entire life, and I don't want to cry, but he lived his entire life thinking that
it's wrong.
He was wrong.
And he wasn't.
He wasn't. He wasn't, which is, I love that.
And so I think, what would he think to be able to know
witness
that marriage equality is legal?
And they made it right.
And then I remember they allowed for the first time, gave people to march in the St. Patrick's Day parade.
That was big.
And Thomas came to me. His name is Thomas Roberts, and he came to me and he said, "I want you to be there with me when I march in this parade."
Wow.
It was the NBC Universal group, and it was the first group that was allowed to march in the parade. And I said, "Of course I'll be there with you." And I didn't know what it would mean, but when we stepped out on that line, there were people around me crying. That they were allowed to march in the St. Patrick's Day
What
parade.
a beautiful experience for you.
And I just looked up and I said, "Dad, I hope you're watching.
Oh, he was looking down.
Your daughter is in this parade."
Standing on your shoulder.
It was amazing. So when you think about your family, you, in the way that I walk and soar on the shoulders of the sacrifice
Yes.
that my parents made.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
Those ahead of us.
you know, they were also in the civil rights movement on
Yeah.
top of all that. But like the sacrifice, you deserve to be where you are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay? You deserve to have what you have.
Yeah.
And I still have siblings and family members who cannot really accept who my dad was. And I hope that I've changed, you know, because I will argue them down any day of the week, you know. No, this is not right. This is who they are. This is who our dad was. You cannot reject them on this.
But who are you to do that?
And right.
Not
Who are
God.
you to do that? Who are you to judge?
Only God judges.
Yeah. Who are you to
We're
do that?
human. You know, we either accept or don't accept. And if you don't accept, then you know what? Turn your back and walk away. Just don't
That's
make no
right.
comments.
Yeah.
You know, have respect for the person.
One thing that's very interesting about the intimate truth that you get here, or that's being shared here, is the fact that before you came here, you didn't know Lewis. Lewis didn't know you.
No.
However, by talking and communicating, is it communicating or communication or whatever you want to call it, the vibe, you realize that your issues are not unique to you,
Exactly.
Yes.
which is really what's
right.
the meat of what I like to get here at Squirrel Rosenberg Radio, because when we share our thoughts, and I think that's what this country is lacking, this open communication and the acceptance of our differences.
in the current political environment.
You know, which is something we're going to touch on a little bit later, but I didn't want to segue into that yet, because we, as I said, we touch on the 4 don'ts, which is politics, religion, family, and sex.
What was this? This is kind of.
No,
Kind of a mix of
no,
This
no,
was
because
a menagerie.
no, it was. You know what? Because
Actually, it touched on everything. It touched on 3 of them. So we
As
can
a
call it a
precursor.
menage a trois of, 3 topics.
An organic
An
menage a
organic menage a trois, yes.
yeah, exactly. No, but what I'm saying is I didn't want to stop the flow of the energy, but I also know as the guy who wants to get everything expressed here and also feel the therapeutic effects of this, you know, because that's what I love about this, you know, because to be funny with you guys, and this is not some feeling, you know, because of the Heineken or whatever, but while you guys were talking, I took a fly on the wall experience of this, and I look back and I'm like, wow, look how organically you're able to relate. Which means anybody watching this or hearing this on Squirrel Rosenberg Radio, Squirrel
think
Rosenberg
we're all
TV,
touched by it.
is going to be connected. So, you know what's so funny? I want to raise our glass, the Heineken bottles and whatever you're drinking
or
to.
passion.
Yeah, the passion to Omnika for really adding that really extra.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, really, I
I didn't
really
want to bring
appreciate
us
you.
down, but like.
No, that's
No,
not
that's
bring-
good.
No, that is not
Elevation.
breaking it
Yeah, it's
down.
elevation.
No.
You know.
As we celebrate Omnika for the great input on, you know, what she shared. And, you know, as we say, Squirrel Rosenberg Radio, stay tuned. Welcome back to Squirrel Rosenberg Radio. And for those who are streaming us live on Squirrel Rosenberg TV, just want to let you know the classic music you're hearing will be available. Thank you, Sound Nazi. The classic sounds you're available will be available on our SoundCloud, and you can stream us live on Facebook, Instagram. We're going to be saturated on all the social media channels. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in the second segment of a wonderful interview. I mean, I paused for a minute because I was looking for the right adjective. And Dr. Rodriguez, so far, if I were to ask you to summarize what we've experienced, what would you say on that?
Luis, first I want to say I love chocolate. I love dark chocolate, but this vanilla bean is divine.
Ooh. Yeah,
So we'll
that's-
start off on that, but everything has been amazing. I think we have amazing guests, so you're right on.
Yeah.
Everything is literally happening organically. I think we're going to flow, so let's hit it to the next question.
Yeah,
Do it.
we will. I just want to swing over to giving a big shout out to Omnika for really bringing the connection on that last
Yes.
topic.
Yes.
You know, that was, and what's so funny, you know, if you were to hold a gun to my head and ask me to script, you know, I couldn't have scripted that, and it was,
You
it
can't.
was, yeah,
You
and-
couldn't. You
yeah.
couldn't. I mean, I was holding my emotions in. You know, I mean, like especially when I was, saying that I played that song for my father, and I'm in the background, bawling my eyes out, because that was the first real time that I had spoken to my dad in over a year, and just hearing his voice, you could hear the happiness. I mean, I saw the pictures afterwards, and it just felt so good, to know that little by little everything is going to be getting back to the way, maybe not the way it used to be, but to let my for my parents to know that even though we didn't talk, I always thought about them. I always prayed for them. To have God always watch over them.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And to protect them.
I love that, because at the end of the day, what I hear from it all, especially the story that she shared, was the fact that we all stand on each other's shoulders through generations.
Yes.
And the sacrifice your dad made, I don't think he would realize that it would be reflected now. And I had the pleasure of meeting somebody who was born in the same era, and he shared his story, and I asked him, what was it like to see Martin Luther King say his statement? What was it like to see Obama come to president?
Yeah.
What was it like to see President Trump now in president? And it was so profound, but we get to stand on each other's shoulders. So before we even get deeper than like we tend to do, I want to run into something real quick. We have this Games of Humanity thing that we're going to run through. I'm going to pick a couple cards.
Finally learned what
And
this is.
we're
I don't know
gonna
what this
see
is.
we're gonna shake
Does anybody want to trade?
No,
Can somebody explain what this is?
What are we doing?
What is this? What's the game?
So here's what I'm going to do. I have these cards, which are the questions. I'm going to read the question, which leaves a blank space. And what you're going to do is you're going to pick your card that best fits that blank.
Oh, okay.
Okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to allow...
Our blank?
So
What
You
blank?
have the blank.
No, I'm going to read the
based on
question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Understood.
I'm going to read the question. The question is going to have a blank.
But there's a caveat, right? So there's a question he's going to ask, and the question can be social, political. There's some seriousness to the question, but the answers to have at hand are random and are supposed to be the most comical. So you're kind of
It really doesn't have to be
It's called Cards for Humanity for a reason, because you're kind of sort of shedding comic relief to.
True. However, it doesn't have to be comical. It could just be your perspective on the best answer for that blank.
Oh no,
And-
these
But
are
but the answer has to be on the card.
Yeah.
Choose
These
your
are
best
comical.
answer
And what's
to
so funny?
be-
What's so funny?
Hilarious.
Just
Yeah.
want to let
Hilarious.
I just
Okay.
want to let everybody know on Squirrel Rosenberg Radio right now. This is going to be a quick segue into our next topic, and I'm going to let my guests know what the next topic is going to be until we finish this game. So we're going to crack into the Games of Humanity. All right. So here's what I'm going to pick the card, and I'm going to read the card. So here we go.
Go.
In LA County Jail, word is you can trade 200 cigarettes for blank.
And
You pick your card.
Okay.
Pick your card. Just pick your card.
Okay.
Normally you would put the card down and I would read it, but
Okay.
what I'm going to do is I want you to pick your card, hold your card. I'm going to repeat the question and then you're going to fill in the blank. So pick your card.
Can I pick two? Because whoa, that's a loaded
Can I
question.
phone a friend?
That is a loaded
Can I phone a
question.
friend?
I was gonna say,
All right, ladies
Can
and
I get a
gentlemen,
lifeline?
we're
Trade
trying-
you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're trying to make this quick.
Ring, ring,
So, in LA County, for those who are short, in LA County, for those who are short-memoried, in LA County Jail, word is you can trade 200 cigarettes for a blank. You're allowed to pick one answer, but for a guest, the baker, Lewis, he'll pick two.
What
For
if
the
you don't-
baker, he'll pick two.
What if you don't like your cards? What if none of your cards are fun?
No, you
Oh my God.
you have to. Yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah. You have to pick a.
God.
Okay, let's go. We're ready. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna go with Dr. Jen. Dr. Jen,
No one's beating me on this.
Dr. Jen.
I know the question.
in
the
LA
pen.
County
Got it.
Jail, word is you can trade 200 cigarettes for.
He's got
A
you.
middle-aged man on roller skates. Bam. You like it. You like it. I know you're picturing him on skates with
That
tight
was big,
shorts.
That was big. Okay, all right. That
And
was
gleaming
okay. All
lights.
right.
What you mean?
Okay,
The Goldfinger shorts?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
He
okay.
wears short shorts.
Okay, Ellie. In LA County Jail, word is you can trade 200 cigarettes for.
Lance Armstrong's missing testicles.
Cha.
Nah.
Winner. That might be a winner.
I can do it. I can do it on that.
Nah.
Omnika.
Do I
In
have
LA
to
County
be
Jail.
It depends on.
Not a good
It depends
image.
on how long your stay is, right?
Yeah, that's not a good image.
Yeah, okay, Omnika. In LA County Jail, word is you can trade 200 cigarettes for.
Don't have good cards, but I'm gonna commit being a motherfucker sorcerer.
You know,
I sold it, right? I sold it. I had to sell it because it was not good.
Magic
You did. Okay, so we're gonna go to our guest who has a double whammy on this one. So I'm gonna ask him the question twice. For your first answer, Louis the Baker, our guest for tonight on Squirrel Rosenberg Radio, in LA County Jail, word is you can trade 200 cigarettes for.
Well, I mean, you could just ask it the one time because these two answers actually go together. An oversized lollipop for some half-assed foreplay. Bam! An oversized lollipop for some half-assed foreplay.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would have
wow.
to say. I would have to say.
That's
our
pretty
winner-
good. That's pretty good.
I would have to say, without a doubt, our winner is our guest, Louis the Baker. Wow. So let me use that as
I
a
raised
segue.
my Heineken to
yeah.
that.
yeah.
Raise my Heineken to that.
Big. Our great sponsor. You know, this is big. Our number one sponsor. But let me just bring everything back to the focus as we get ready to tackle our number 2 topic on Squirrel Rosenberg Radio, which is, you mentioned politics earlier when we were talking. And ladies and gentlemen, I just needed to focus real quickly because this is very important as we chop down politics. And I want to start with Louis. What's your thoughts on the political climate right now in the United States?
Okay, loaded question.
No, this is a loaded show.
That's a loaded.
All right.
Let's get loaded.
Yeah. This is a loaded
In
show.
one word.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
One word. Shit show.
Okay.
It is an absolute shit show.
Yeah.
No, put together.
With a hyphen. A hyphen. There's a hyphen. A hyphenated
Shit
word.
hyphen show.
Hashtag, hyphen, what else? Apostrophe, shit shows in the many arenas.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, Mr. Chump, because there's really no other word to call him. I mean, I can't address him as president, whatever his name is,
tampoco
because
señor, no.
Yeah, he's not a gentleman. He's
No.
not. He's nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, years ago he was taped
Senora,
in
come
saying,
over?
that he would choose to be, run as a Republican because Republicans are stupid and they would believe anything that comes out of,
Alternative.
I mean,
Hence
come on.
current day.
Hello. I mean, come on. It's this guy thinks that everything that he said in the past
terrific.
has not come to fruition, hasn't been
is
already
amazing.
thrown out on the table. But yet, America today are uneducated. There's really nothing else.
But it's so funny. A good friend that said to me the other day that the same passion, the same drive that put Obama in power is the same passion and drive that got Trump.
Well, you know what the Republicans wanted? The Republicans wanted a businessman who filed bankruptcy 4 times plus.
Well,
And they wanted a businessman. Well, you know what? That's what they got. And unfortunately, now we have to suffer the repercussions and the consequences. But you know what? On the flip side, though, is people keep, you know what? Let's give him time. Let's see what if he can really prove himself.
Ladies, feel free to
Leave
interject.
that thing up because look
Yeah,
at
feel free
Donald
to
Reagan.
interject.
Donald Reagan. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Oh Lord,
Ronald
rolling
Reagan.
over his grave.
Close
Rolling
enough.
over
Yeah, I
his
know.
grave.
Just saying.
Ronald Reagan.
Rolling over.
Yeah,
Just
Ronald
saying.
Reagan was an actor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Model, actor.
Yeah.
Who ran a state? though.
Yes.
Correct.
Well, he did.
He had some political
but look
background.
at what's his face.
Other than you're fired.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, he's in Cali. Cali's,
Hey, well, they're
they're all tight and tan.
They're a different planet.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
Yeah,
they
salads and
need to
chancletas.
loosen their corsets.
So
They
I
need
have a
to
question.
loosen their jock straps and their G strings and all that stuff, and just look at reality, because where is the reality?
So
They
I
have no
a question
reality.
for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So everyone, and I'm going to go back to, I'm a huge fan of Brene Brown. Brene Brown is an author, and she speaks about like having your sorry, kind of stumbling over myself, but you had mentioned, you said everyone has their story, right? So everyone has their story. And I think what Donald Trump did is he spoke to the majority and their story, right? So Brene Brown is an author, and she talks about having your shit story, right? Your shit story is sort of your first draft about, an incident that you experienced in your life, right? So you're like, you blame everybody else, but at the end, when you look at the whole scenario and you kind of see what actually happened, you kind of take a step back and you say, wait a minute. Why am I feeling this way? Why do I feel this happened to me? Why, like you dissect the situation, and you kind of, for your own growth, you try to understand what, when, where, why, how of the situation, and how you got to where you are,
But-
and experience. Hold
but
on.
as-
Before you continue, let me. I know I'm taking a little time to get to this, but so what she says is that's your first draft, and the title that she gives that is your shit story. It's your shit story, right? I had a conversation with Jen, and this is my shit story. My shit story is that I was whatever the situation is. So then you take a step back, because that's your draft, right? And then you look at your shit story and you say, okay, this is what role I played in my shit story, right? And I think that's kind of what America's getting to. So the shit story is, we're fucking sick of politicians, and we're paying all these taxes, and healthcare
Can't get our kids
is,
in college.
yeah,
Yeah,
and our kids are,
Horrible.
it
Yeah.
starts with the
Our
whole,
mortgages are underwater.
Yeah.
Our,
Yep. Yeah.
Banks
we're
are getting
in
bailed
student.
out.
Let's get our
we're in
kids into
student-
politics.
Look at
Yeah.
We're in
Europe.
student
Look at
loan
Europe.
debt up to our ears,
Yeah.
Okay,
and
speak on it.
and then you
Speak
have
on
to
it.
pay thousands of dollars before your health insurance even kicks in.
So let's see how we got to.
Yeah.
That's what
True.
Americans
True.
are feeling.
We got to Trump because of Occupy Wall Street. We got to Trump because of the
Yeah,
kids.
that's very well said.
Millennials, quote unquote. So we got to Trump because of that. That's our shit story. That was our shit story. And rather than us taking a step back and saying, we are here because we decided we wanted the American dream, and we freaking got mortgages that we couldn't afford, and people, opportunists, took advantage of that and said, okay, well, prime brokerage, this was, our opportunity to make money off of that. So you got opportunists who took advantage of, let's take these mortgages that are risky mortgages, let's invest in these mortgages, and then let's sell these mortgages, short selling, make money off of that. So that's our shit story. Our shit story is, America put us in this position. We put ourselves in that position, and now we look to someone who kind of spoke to what our resolve was for that shit story, right? So it's our fault.
But I also
Yeah,
think
go ahead.
have this asshole in freaking
office.
So, because I work in news and this is being recorded, and I could actually get fired for giving, I could actually get fired.
Never that.
If
never
you're my
that.
Facebook
Who are you?
friends.
We don't know your name.
Yeah, never
No,
that.
I know,
never
but
that.
it's they
Never
keep
that.
track of our campaign contributions and everything is to that
Yeah.
point.
Oh wow.
But
Which is why I didn't want to be on
Yeah.
camera because
No.
I'm on contract and I
yeah, you
Yeah,
can't be.
yeah.
Yeah,
I work for
got
an
you.
investment bank.
so you guys, I think, are both Facebook friends of mine, and I can't.
Oh, I'm not into the book of
I very
faces.
well, you are, right? Or did you get
Well,
off of
Squirrel
Facebook?
Rosenberg Radio is
I
on
deactivated
Facebook.
my account multiple times.
Yeah.
So many people have done that.
Yeah,
But,
Yeah, go ahead.
but I can't, get into my true feelings. But I can. Obviously, I just covered the campaign for MSNBC, so it's interesting because I kind of see that those of us who live in the bubble, what we call the bubble, fortunately, that's where most of Americans live. That's why Hillary Clinton beat Donald Trump by 3 million votes,
I didn't make it in.
but didn't make it in. But there's a whole big debate going on right now in the news business about we got it wrong. We didn't listen to what
That
was
is true.
going out
That is true.
on
That is true.
in Middle America.
I hear that every day.
The polls were wrong because people didn't want to tell pollsters how they really felt.
So what's the answer to that?
So there's a couple of things. One, just calling Trump supporters uneducated, as much as I feel that education is a big part of this, is not going to get us there, right? It's not going to get people to realize what the issue is. And this goes back to our original talk about, your story and my story and where we are as Americans right now. There is a section of America that does not want to hear what we in New Jersey and New York and California and
It's more liberal states.
and the whole eastern corridor and the western corridor, whatever you want to call it, they don't want to hear what we're talking about, and they don't see it the same way.
Because
They-
is it because of an educational difference or geographical difference or
It's all of the above. It is, and I have a lot of family in South Bend, Indiana, corn country, whatever. I mean, Indiana is corn country. Have you ever driven through it?
Is it GMO corn or regular corn?
Whatever, it's GMO,
Don't get me started on that topic.
whatever it is.
Non-GMO.
No chicken, no
You
corn,
see
no
is
soy.
corn.
Non-GMO.
And have you
No
ever
soy.
driven from here to the middle of the country? Have you ever taken that drive?
Pennsylvania, Ohio.
Ohio, Indiana. You just see corns
That's it. Just open
and
fields.
cows
Yeah.
for days.
Scary.
In that section of the country, in the South where I'm from, they very much see it as a culture war. So it is, you're in the South and you're in the Bible Belt. You grew up loving Jesus. If you love Jesus, you can't love gays. It's just not. It's just not compatible. Or you live in the what they call the Rust Belt.
Yeah. I heard the
And
Rust
you've
Belt.
seen, I grew up visiting my mom in South Bend, Indiana for years. And at one point, that was a thriving town. I was shocked to go back to it last summer when my daughter had a soccer tournament in the area. And I'm like, oh, let's go see South Bend. There's nothing going on.
So-
there's no
so-
economic
so-
growth.
so what-
You worked in a car factory. The car factory is closed. Do you know, as that auto worker, that automation is the reason why your job is gone? No,
but
you
you're-
think NAFTA is the reason why your
Yeah,
job is
exactly,
gone, and
but-
maybe that's true.
Go ahead,
but
Doctor.
there's also
Again,
automation.
It's
No, go
the
ahead.
and it's
It's
the miseducation
It's miseducation.
of what's happening in that geographical
Right.
area. And it's so sometimes I would wonder, and just me being from the metropolitan area, New York, New Jersey, I couldn't ever fathom myself living. To me, that is an absolute nightmare of mine. I wake up and I'm
Living
in the middle
of the country?
and I'm in the middle of the country.
Which-
And
no.
those factories, what, were phased out in the 80s. Like basically in the 80s.
No, like before the 80s.
Before
right?
even
The
before the
silk industry was
80s.
like the
Like
50s and 60s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
once you hit the
60s, really
70s,
yeah,
it just
and
like
Yeah.
Yeah.
just went
But
down.
what also Patterson and you know what, we take it for granted that we live in the north and
Yeah,
you know
we do take a lot
we're
for granted.
enlightened and we're in Clinton country, we're in blue country, and it's gonna
Yeah,
stay that
true.
way forever.
No.
Well, no,
Yeah,
it's not.
yeah.
Because just as this conservatism has encroached on how many blue states did Trump flip in this election?
Yeah.
Traditionally blue states, he flipped. It's going to encroach here too, and I see it because I'm in Wayne, New Jersey, which is a Republican town. And if you don't have Patterson and you don't have Newark, New Jersey is not, and you don't have Patterson, Newark, and Montclair. That's what makes New Jersey blue.
Yeah.
Those
Camden.
three.
And
Those
Camden.
three.
Wow.
Everything in Camden.
Yeah.
Everything else
It's just encroaching on
is
that.
red. And let me tell you what Patterson has. A lot of immigrants.
Yes.
Squirrel Rosenberg Radio, as we refreshed or not only our glasses but our minds and got some fresh bottles of Heinekens on the table. Everybody, let me just lift our glasses and toast to a wonderful
Yes.
organic powwow. I mean, the conversations kind of
Agree.
zigzagged and went
Agree.
a couple of ways, but I got to really bring things back. But before we do that, no, we're gonna do that. But before I even bring back to the topic we were talking about, let me just segue to this. What do we have here, Lois?
This is a fusion cake. This is a combination Puerto Rican and Mexican dessert.
Okay.
Mexican being a tres leches or 3 milks.
Okay.
Puerto Rican being a pina colada cake
Ooh.
with
Ooh.
coconut, pineapple.
Two of my favorite things. Tres leches cake and pina colada.
Oh, that's big.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure when Ron said, "Hey, let's go check these guys out," this wasn't on your to-do list.
not on
This
my
was not on your
to-do list.
to-do list.
No.
So go ahead.
Hashtag treats.
I mean, if
You're welcome.
yeah, I mean,
Hashtag gracias.
De nada. I mean, if you are lactose intolerant, this is definitely not the cake for you to eat.
But we're doing it.
No, but before
You
we
have to. I mean, even if you have a small piece, I mean, it's worth the pain and the suffering and because God knows I'll be suffering, but
2
let me
hours
tell
on
you,
the treadmill the
Yeah.
next day.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
So
but it'll be worth it.
So for those who want to, because what we're about to do here on Squirrel Rosenberg Radio, and for those who are privileged enough to stream this live on Squirrel Rosenberg TV, is we're about to cut into this cake. So before we do, could you just reiterate what and how people can get in touch with you?
They could reach me on Latin_Baker on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook under Luis, Luis, and the letter N, Oscar Rivera. And you can also send me an email at lifesweeterwithcake@gmail.com.
Life sweeter
Nice.
with cake.
Life sweeter with
Yeah,
cake.
yeah.
I love that.
Listen, there's so much love
you.
here. Can we feed each other like a wedding?
So refresh our memory on what we're having here.
This is a golden butter cake. A lot of butter.
Y'all.
Yeah, we can't argue with that. Yeah, the butter is
A
always
lot
really
of
good.
butter. And a lot of milk.
Okay. Everything I'm allergic to, but it
Coconut and pineapple. First plate.
Oh,
everything I'm
we
allergic to, but
go.
this thing looks too incredible. My God. And what's so funny is, as Lois cuts into the cake, I just want to give a big shout out to everybody behind the scenes. I want to give a big shout out to Manny holding down the camera, E-Dub on the sounds, my daughter Nicole who just walks into the scene. And what's so funny is, we started slicing up the cake. You know, E-Dub says, "Don't forget the crew." So we're
Are you
definitely
kidding me? We
yeah.
got plates for them right here.
Yeah, we definitely we are gonna be sampling this simultaneously, ladies and gentlemen. I want to give a big shout out to my boy Flaquito who just walked into the spot. In the streets we call him Mr. Dr. Rodriguez.
Dr. Rodriguez.
Can I turn it up?
Yeah, exactly.
See, it's like it's like dying to.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, yeah.
To go right on my plate.
That's right.
Yeah. So let's just sample this.
In Puerto Rican.
Oh, that's
Que
okay.
lindo. No.
Oh, nice.
Que
That's all right.
lindo.
Oh, thank you.
There you go, I serve.
Thank you. All right, everybody.
Everybody, yeah, let's just crack into this real quick. Yeah.
Look, everything tastes better with butter and coconut.
Oh my God.
Oh, and there is dark rum in this as well.
So it's like rum cake plus tres leches cake plus what's the third thing?
Wow.
Cream
Pina
of coconut.
colada.
Yeah.
Cream of coconut.
Wow.
Pineapple juice.
I think the
Wow.
best part, it's not that sweet.
Yes.
For having
yes.
butter, yellow,
Yes.
coconut, cream, 3 milks,
Yes.
rum,
Yes.
it is
Yeah.
not that sweet.
and pineapple juice, because you know pineapple juice
It's-
itself is sweet.
Louis, I mean,
It
come on.
is perfectly balanced. You
Yeah,
have
yeah,
outdone
yeah.
yourself, sir.
One
Thank
thing
you.
you'll get at the Rosenberg Radio is the truth. You know, that's what we celebrate here. And I'm telling you right now, I mean, Dr. Rodriguez hit it on the nail.
Thank you.
It's not sweet. For
Can I
having-
remix? This cake is a real crowd
Please.
pleaser. It really
Big,
is. It
big,
is delicious.
big, big.
Rewind, come again, select that.
Very
Ronald
good.
laugh at me because he thinks I can't do patois very well.
Very good.
And I'll be honest, I'm not the type of person to eat
really good.
what I make
Oh, okay.
because I would much rather see the reactions of
Yes.
everybody else eat
yes,
it.
yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm so used to when you taste and this and that, it's just like I just don't even want to be bothered anymore. You know,
Just
because
wanna,
it's
like,
like
serve
"Ugh,"
it.
that's it.
Do it and
Yeah.
serve it. No, it is not.
And
One
let
of the things
everybody
with
else
tres
enjoy.
leches cakes,
Yeah.
it's very sweet. If you ever had tres leches,
I was
cakes.
expecting that.
Me too.
I was expecting that.
I looked at this and I was like, wow, it looks delicious.
The
But I
condensed
thought,
milk.
yeah.
Yeah.
But wow, that was a pleasant surprise. It was very good.
Good. I'm glad
Very
you all
good.
liked it.
Very good.
Oh, and the frosting is actually a French vanilla mousse frosting.
Wow.
Oh my God.
It's like a symphony of flavors in my mouth right now.
What's your thoughts on where we are right now
Oh,
on this political climate and
time will tell. That's all we can do. We can't reverse it. We can't impeach him until we find him guilty of something. Until then,
Which they technically do have it already because they already knew about that guy, the guy that resigned for having had talks with the Russian
what
ambassador.
don't to do with Trump?
Right, but Pence knew about it. And if Pence knew about it, that falls on Trump's shoulders as well. Because if one has to go for treason, so does the other one.
who's bringing them up
That's
on
my
treason?
opinion. Huh?
Are people bringing them up on treason?
Hopefully it will happen because...
So you're
I mean,
saying you're anticipating that happening?
I see that happening because you figure if Clinton, I mean, to be colorful here, was, impeached for a blowjob, why aren't they going to impeach Trump and Pence?
All right.
But
Okay.
here's
For-
why. Because
I know, I'm
when
sorry. I'm
Clinton
forgive
was
me for
in
saying
no,
that.
it's okay. But when Clinton was in office, Republicans were in charge of the House,
Right.
which is in control of whether somebody's going to be impeached. We don't have that right now.
Right.
Why don't
We're
we
in the
have
red
that?
zone.
Because Democrats don't vote in off years. So that's why they don't control Congress. Guess what? We got another off year coming up in 2018 when Senate and House elections are going to be really, really important.
Yes.
And I can predict right now that people will not get out and vote. Liberals will not get out and vote
Okay.
Do they
in the
know this,
places
though?
that matter.
Do they know this though?
Well, I think
I think it's our
Hopefully they know it
responsibility maybe
now.
as people who are aware
Yes.
to post it the way we do on what we ate yesterday for supper on Facebook. Post that same message and say,
Exactly.
get the hell out there.
Go out and
because this
vote.
is more
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
important
yeah.
than our presidential election.
And I think now that we live in the age of Twitter and Facebook and all these things, and we're using these methods of communication and mobilizing in ways that never were done before, that could change that equation. But as of now, and so now my family lives in North Carolina, huge battleground state. I'm the only
Yeah,
one up here
yeah.
in Jersey, and huge battleground state. And here's the reality of what we're facing right now in terms of people of color, but also liberals in these states. In the 2012 election in Greensboro, North Carolina, in that greater city where my family lives now, there were maybe 38 places where they could early vote. In this election, there were 2. Because why?
In the
Because
states.
in that area. Now, in a state like North Carolina, a city like Greensboro can make all the difference in the world, because
True.
that's where the urban,
The dense, yeah.
those, when you look at these pockets of places where liberals are voting in these states, it's in the big cities, it's in the medium cities, it's in any place urban, it's in any place. And what has systematically been done is Republicans have seen since 2008, when President Obama was elected, and maybe even before that, they saw that the real game is in the local elections, is in the state elections, is in who controls the state houses and who controls the governorships. Because if you control the state houses and the governorships, guess what? You control the laws in those states.
Yes.
And so you can say in North Carolina, we're going to pass a law that makes it extremely, and everybody was focused on voter ID. What they weren't focused on was, what about early voting? What about souls to the polls? What about, they systematically targeted voting, practices that allow minorities, young people to vote. And so now what do you have? You have a state that went for Obama in 2008. Voting rights laws are enacted. And then they went very narrowly for Romney, or for Obama.
Obama.
In 2012. We're going to pass stiffer laws. We're going to make it hard for students to get to the polls. We're going to make it hard for African Americans to get to the vote. We're going to systematically, surgically. This is what the Supreme Court decided. This isn't me saying this. The Supreme Court decided that North Carolina passed a voting rights law that systematically targeted minorities. But a portion of that law was allowed to stand. What was that portion? That portion that allowed, that cut out the number of places where people could early vote.
So let me
decided North Carolina.
Okay, so we realize where we are, the quagmire we're in, and we say, okay, I'm going to give you guys, all my guests tonight, a quick ability to say, what would you like in an ideal political climate? So let me rephrase my question. I'm going to give my guest, every single one of you, to tell me what would you like in an ideal political climate. Because there's 2 other topics I want to touch on, but I'm going to use this to wrap up our political genre of this Rosenberg movement. Lewis, in an ideal political climate, what would you like? You are the president of the United States of America. What would you like to see happen?
Balanced budget and world peace. But that's not reality.
No.
But
So listen. Forget reality. I'm just saying, in an ideal world, is that an adjective or a noun? Ideal. I think it's an
adjective.
I think it's an adjective.
I mean,
in an ideal world,
definitely a balanced budget. Because
balance meaning,
again, not in the position that we're in now. I mean, the situation that we're in now, economically. Even if it's not balanced, because no country will ever have a balanced budget, because the United States is always out helping other countries be able to stay afloat. And that's what makes the United States such a powerful force, because we're always not just thinking about us. We think about other countries that need help.
Okay.
Because if we help them get strong, that will make us strong.
True.
And then that will bring them as our allies.
True.
And that's the problem with Russia. Russia only thinks about Russia. If you're gay in Russia, they will kill you if they find out. They will kill you. So Russia is so back-ass half-words.
But then that comes to another,
ass
backwards.
Oh no, I totally changed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
To summarize, in an ideal world, for you politically, it would be world peace and a balanced budget.
And balance the budget as best
Mika,
as possible.
in an ideal world.
In an ideal world, an educated American populace, because
That's big.
our ignorance has led to where we are. An educated American populace means that we care about our public schools.
Yeah.
We care
True. That
about
was deep.
the education of our children, because, no matter whether they live in the inner cities or rural America, because we live in a world right now where and I work in a news business, and we live in a world where people can make up their own facts and accept their own facts, and if they don't want to hear it, then they can go someplace that speaking,
That
where
specific,
they're speaking their language
confirm what you're thinking.
confirm what they're thinking, and they don't have to care about facts.
So, in your ideal political climate, your mantra would be?
I feel that if people are educated, they will make the right decisions. And
Ellie.
yeah.
So, I had some things in mind that I wanted to talk about, and part of it was, I'm going to start with what Amnika said. So, there is a fine line with people being educated, right? So we have like this misconception and this sort of, I don't want to say entitlement. I have to be very careful. It's a fine line that you have to tread, right? So when you say educated people, right? So there's people who kind of choose to hear facts and accept them, or hear what are your facts versus someone else's facts. And I want to be very careful to say this, because it's not about going to college and getting an education, which would describe someone as being educated, right? So someone who chooses to do their own research and kind of do their own discovery in understanding what they choose to believe in, versus someone who has a college education. Because you're going to have someone who has a college education, a doctorate, master's, whatever, MBA, and still be ignorant.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I want to be very
Absolutely.
careful to say educated people, because there's people who, by choice, choose to listen to what you call the
Absolutely.
the elite media, versus someone who chooses to do their own discovery and research. And if we chose to be educated and listen to elite media, then we would believe, that the U.S. was discovered, America was discovered by Columbus, and Indians are bad, and whatever the case may be, right? So I think educating yourself versus having an education in terms of academia and going to college and whatever,
Absolutely.
there's a difference. So I'm very careful to say educated versus non-educated, but I'm also understanding there is ignorance where people choose to believe a certain thing because they it's generational or laziness or whatever the case may be, where their social economic situation depicts how they think, religiously. Like my mother, if I would kind of fit into the stereotype, my mother felt like you are a woman, you have feminism on your side, you're pretty, why the fuck do you need to work, right? So you have something between your legs, there's no reason for you to work. That's my mother's philosophy. So she put us in pageants, and she thought, okay, you need to be in magazines and you need to have like this modeling career, whatever it may be. And until the age of 16, like I was groomed to be in pageants. Because that was her philosophy. Her philosophy was not, you need to go to college and get an education. Her philosophy was, you're a beautiful young lady, you have something between your legs, you don't need to get a job, you just need to be beautiful, and you have a rich man to take care of you. That was my mom's philosophy. You're looking at me crazy, but I put money on it. My mother would be like,
I'm not looking at you crazy. The reason why I was just, trying to see where I love how you're able to just, express exactly what.
The reason why I went there is because I wanted to kind of shed light on the whole idea that my mother was someone who was educated. My mother was someone who spoke 6 different languages. My mother was a translator for the administration, for the Haile Selassie administration, which, in the Jamaican culture, anyone can understand.
They're revered.
Rivera.
In addition to someone like that, someone who can grasp fluently 6 different languages and have the education that she had, and come out of that sort of, academia, right? So we're talking about,
and still thought of you in a base way,
and still think, So I'm very careful to categorize someone as being educated and not educated, because people don't understand that fine line that you would track.
So can I follow up on what she's, because so you made me just now think about what I was saying in terms of educated, non-educated. What I mean about educated is, right now we live in the world of like reality TV and baby. Reality TV and living in the age of the Kardashians, and we want to be rich and blah blah blah, and we've been kind of brainwashed to think that the welfare we need to be worried about, and I think we were touching on this earlier, the welfare that's really bringing down America is the people that are dependent on welfare, and they have that welfare culture in their minds, and they're they're looking for a handout. Well, corporate America has a handout that is far greater than any handout that's being given in the form of food stamps or health care or Medicaid or anything like that. And their handout, as opposed to our handouts, are in the millions, right? In terms of, working class or poverty people. Their handouts are in the billions. And when I say educated, it's like, well, corporations have taken this money, and in our parents' age, it was, hey, 20 years ago, I worked for, NBC was owned by GE. In that time, GE, multi-billion-dollar corporation, things are good. People get bonuses. Things are good. Our health care is good. When I had my kids, I didn't have to pay a dime in a copay. Like, I paid a $15 copay, and when I was pregnant, I didn't have to pay anything. Right? Now, they're getting still the profits and the corporate welfare, and now President Trump, back to politics, is talking about more corporate welfare. Let's give these big corporations bigger tax breaks. Let's give them more help. But the problem is, they got more help. That trickled down. Then why am I paying more health care?
So here's
why, is that trickling down to the everyday
I hear exactly
person? No.
what you're saying.
But today, President Trump, in a speech to CPAC, said, we're going to end, we want people to think no more welfare. We don't want a handout. We want a better job. Well, yeah, we want better jobs, but you guys already have the better jobs because you are making billions of dollars off of us.
Okay, so here's what I want to do.
That's the problem.
I hear I hear your points, and basically what I'm saying, what I'm hearing is, nobody thinks that Trump is gonna do what he's supposed to do for the people.
There's a challenge with that, right? When you talk about Trump and what he's supposed to do and what he promises to do, right? So his promise is to say, so the anger that people have today, you're always going to project, right? So we'll go back to the shit story. Everybody has their first draft and their shit story and who they want to blame for the position that they're in now, right? So what you're going to have is you're going to have these backwoods people and loosely using.
Are you talking about the deplorables?
Why not?
Deplorables.
The deplorables.
Less deplorables.
I would in some cases, right? So again, it's all about perspective, right? So today you might be a deplorable versus tomorrow, because it depends on. I'm affected by healthcare when in 2000 versus 2008. I know my healthcare was better than it is today. I'm pissed off that I have to have a $700
True. Copay.
deductible
Yeah.
before I can have a $25 copay
But-
versus so what I'm saying is that we pick and choose what benefits us and what we choose to advocate for. And so when you talk about Trump and we talk about educated people versus uneducated people versus what he's going to do for this country, I think that the challenges in the last interview that we had, it uprooted a lot of issues that people kind of held and suppressed, which was women's rights, which was racism, which was all of these things with immigrants' rights. My
Which is,
parents
I don't
were
have a
immigrants.
job
I am
now.
the first-
It's their fault.
Yeah.
My parents were first generation immigrants. I came over. I was only 10 years old when I came into the United States. I didn't get my citizenship until 2004, and I hate to tell people that I don't have the same experience that they have. Right? So as a woman, I don't have the same experience that they have because I'm an assistant vice president without a college degree. As a woman, I don't have the same experiences that they have being black, being anything else, because anything that I set my mind to and I said that I'm going to accomplish, I've been in that position because I built relationships. I know how to network. I know who to talk to. And when the work comes to me, it's not this burden that I don't have this sense of entitlement.
No, but
There's this difference
but I have
in
to, I have to salute.
So I can't.
No, but I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have to salute you and all the women at the table right now, because at the end of the day, that's what you guys have all done. And at the end of the day, if you look deeply into what you're talking about, is there was a point where you were never able to do that.
So here's my challenge with that, right? So I think even today, there's people who find difficulty in accomplishing the simple tasks that what I take for granted. So I mean,
Maybe because you're standing on their shoulders.
Light-skinned, no. I'm not even going to accept that, because I mean, I've heard, because I'm light-skinned, because I'm a woman, because I have, whatever attractive features, that I've been able to accomplish certain things, and I would like to say bullshit on that, right? I think bullshit on that, because I'm able to
It detracts from your hard work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I'm
You
able
value.
to say I can have a relationship with someone, I can have a conversation with someone, I can relate to someone, and I can make something happen. Whether or not, this happens for anyone else and whether they're able to accomplish it, I think it all comes down to perspective. If you have a certain perspective about something and you say, I can't accomplish this, you're not going to accomplish it. My father came to this country and could have taken advantage of every welfare opportunity possible. And he was like, hell no, we're not going to do welfare. We struggled. We lived in a house with my aunt. There were 6 kids and 5 adults in one freaking household. But we did it, and it was fun, and it made for our, upbringing. But never did he say we were going to go on food stamps or anything like that. My father was like, we're not going to go on welfare. My father did not allow my mom to work because he wanted her to be home and take care of the kids. My father worked 3 jobs. My father went away for 3 months to Corpus Christi and worked on a freaking oil well. Like,
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not curious
Go ahead.
because everybody's here except me is from an immigrant family, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Ethiopia.
Syria and Puerto Rico.
Yeah, crazy.
Yo, how did that happen?
Huh? Okay, that's a whole other story.
Yeah, right. Jamaica.
In Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rican. But Puerto Rican is pretty much U.S., right? Or do you
Now
still
it is.
consider yourself immigrant?
Yeah.
No,
Community.
I'm born and raised here.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a difference between immigrant families, and when I say that, I mean like
Perspective.
Puerto Rican,
No,
East
there's a
African,
difference.
East African,
There's a-
Caribbean,
yeah,
whatever
there's
it
a
is, and immigrants that maybe were brought here 300 years ago, in which unwillingly, in which there had been a systematic degradation.
Yeah, reprogramming.
It's beyond. I mean, it's beyond that, and I think people from immigrant communities, and that's including Caribbean and African. It is it is just not the same. Go step into, and I know that people, and I've obviously my husband's family is Jamaican, and I get this, and I've dated many like African men, but however, but so I get it, you know, like it's a different experience, and I think the difference that I see is that there has been a conditioning, there has been a mindset, there has been a systematic separation of families, separation of families, that so people from the outside come in and they say, well, why don't African Americans just pick themselves up? Why do they depend on welfare? Why are they in the condition that they are in? And frankly, more white people are on welfare. But however, you know, why are these issues? Why is there Chirac? What's going on? And they don't understand. And what they don't understand is that yes, they came here from heart. You were able to come here and have parents who were able to work hard and see the fruits of their labor. Here, we were told you can't work here because you're black.
Similarly,
you can't do this because you're black. So here, you can't go to the same schools. Guess what? I have a brother-in-law, my oldest sister, one of 6, 60 years old. My brother-in-law told me, we used to go to North Carolina, and in their living room there are cotton plants. And I said, Doc, we call him Doc, what's the story behind these cotton balls, these cotton plants? And he said, I keep this in the living room to remind me of when I was in middle school and they used to let the black schools out earlier so they can bus the black kids to the cotton fields to pick cotton.
Oh, wow.
So I keep this as a reminder
of where he came from and
of the fact that schools were let out early. Imagine your kids, because you're dark skinned. Yeah. We're going to let you out at noon. You don't get to eat lunch. We're going to you're going to get on the bus. Boom. And you're gonna go to the cotton field. So
all of this stemmed from the first question I asked, which was the political climate and where we are. You know,
I know we got all off track.
Yeah, and I allowed it to do that, but as I bring
deep root action here.
Yeah, as I bring it back, and I love what's being stemmed, because at the end of the day, where we are politically, all that you've mentioned is where we are right now. You know, and I interrupted somebody and I mentioned the same passion that got Obama in is now the same passion that got Trump in. But let me just go back to the initial question I asked, and I'm gonna go with Dr. Rodriguez and go back this way. All right?
Because we talked.
You're the you're the president. What would you like to? Three policies you'd like to implement.
Oh, 3. Okay. I thought
3 policies, and you guys were. I'm going to come around, so you guys think about before we even get to you. 3 policies you'd like to implement.
Euphorically, policy number 1 would be every human being by the age of 15 has one-on-one counseling with a professional. Wow. Because it is the shit story, because it is what our ancestors told us, and they keep the cotton in the living room, and it is because the lack of love and the changing, oh my God, you changed, I raised you, and what happened? Now you like men, now you like women? Yep, I do. Okay. It is that. And to engage in that conversation and to have that conversation and to accept that conversation, you need some form of coaching, counseling, emotionally, behaviorally, systematically in your mind, because we are the things that we tell ourselves every day.
So one of the things you would implement is making sure everybody has
everyone
counseling.
Must have counseling, period. Just like we give out Social Security. Second thing would be health. We got to focus on our health. We have to focus on what we're giving our kids, our pharmaceutical industry. We have to focus on that. And I know they don't want to that's such a underlying factor, but it runs the world. Decentralize that. because you have like 4 major pharmaceutical companies that is running, not here, running the world.
And we all know what the side effects are on all the pharmaceutical shit. 'Cause that's bananas.
Heal your bladder. Don't pee as often.
Yeah.
But die tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. The third thing.
The third thing would be
President
third
of the United
thing-
States. 3 things you can change.
we're made. This is called the melting pot. We are made to be here, and the
big,
reason why, when you
big.
said systematically, it's systematically almost like infused, grown. It's like a GMO of culture for you to be. You know what? Yeah, her parents thrive because they came here. My grandparents thrive because they struggled to get here.
True.
Every person that I know that's coming from another country is working far more harder, far more efficient than maybe the little, Caucasian kid in a rich town because they feel entitled.
That's
we have
right.
GMO'd our children who have been born here generationally.
So let me-
and the people in the middle of the country, the uneducated, must be educated to your terms. I know what you mean. Like, they got to be up
It's
to par.
not
They're not
like-
even at par. They're
No,
below
that's
par.
what I'm
They
saying.
don't even understand. This is
That's
like
what I'm
foreign
saying.
to them. They're like, what? Who? What?
So,
Where?
so
when?
you're saying right now
Yeah.
you're saying like now Hillary and her crew lost the election through the lack of education. Is that what I'm hearing? So before you answer that question, let me go.
I wasn't even going to vote for Hillary or Trump. Put it this way.
Okay.
That's just another thing.
So
But if we had to,
But
the
how do you feel now? So first of all, what did you end up doing? And then, if you don't mind sharing that,
I will
what
share.
Did, what
I
did you
voted
end
for
up
Hillary.
doing it? Okay.
I voted for Hillary because
Okay.
it was lesser of the two evils.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people felt in this election. Lesser of the two
And-
evils. If I didn't, I would have loved to seen what ex-vice president Biden, if he would have won, and if he would have ran, and I don't think they allowed him. The Democratic Party
didn't.
did not allow Biden to run. Had he ran, and they would have beefed him up and marketed him the way they did Trump, because Trump had his own show, and Trump just
Right.
marketed himself in a way that was unforeseen as any other presidential candidate. Because of social media, I think we would have had a different.
Yeah.
But here's my question. So what? I have my own sense of this, but what about Hillary? And this has always fascinates me about women in particular.
I love
What
this.
about Hillary did you find so evil and so objectionable?
Not evil. I admired Hillary as a woman, as
Right.
her drive in politics, and really, I told everyone, I'm like, Hillary has to win. It's kind of, kind of like the
unspoken language. Yeah.
right. It's kind of like quote unquote the the new
Given.
world order. I expected her to win prior to Obama and prior to the second Bush,
Yeah.
campaign. I thought Hillary would have ran then on the second Bush campaign. And she didn't, and I was like, you know what? It's going to take its time. It's going to take its course. And then when Obama came out, I was like, oh, Obama, okay, whatever, okay. And then he
Okay.
ran his 8 years. So I knew Hillary was in the making. I was very aware of that, and I supported that. I just felt like Hillary, I don't know. There's just something, my gut was just like, we're going to kind of experience the same thing. We're going to go through the same, kind of like the same thing. And I just
What
feel...
what is the same?
The
I'm
same
curious about that.
is, I think more with our foreign affairs than more here. I think the way Obama, and I love Obama as a president, I respect him and his family, but I feel like Obama kind of carried the torch of Bush in foreign affairs.
In what way?
The whole drone, the whole killing of, in my heart, I'm very sensitive to the whole Middle Eastern world and culture, and the amount, what's happening in Syria, as we
unreal.
sit here, there are babies being
Slaughtered.
washed up
Yeah.
ashore.
Insane.
Infants, 4-year-olds are being washed up ashore on the beaches. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And I feel like they've started this militia to get back at everything that we've counteracted upon during the end of the Bush years and the beginning of the Obama years.
Yeah, true. That's true.
And
That is
it's
true.
almost like, I know when you're president of this country, you are not in full control. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah,
you are not
we
in
know
full
that.
control.
We know
You got to
that.
go
We know
to
that.
Congress. You have your
we
house.
know that. Yeah.
Right? So it's like at
That's why
some
it's
point,
divided
someone's
government.
whispering in your ear and saying, this is what you got to do. pull the fucking trigger, take the heat for it. And if you can't take the heat for it on this one person's going to take the heat for it. The next incident, you take the heat for it.
Yeah.
There's some kind of political game that's constantly going around. And so I just feel like no matter who's in that seat, they're going to take the heat for it. And so it would have maybe not been a Hillary. It maybe would have not been a Trump, and maybe would have not been a Biden. Somebody is going to feel the heat on that.
I think every 8 years people want change.
Exactly.
Regardless.
And that's the bottom line, because how can you explain a housing crash that left millions of people homeless and millions of people
that's bananas.
without a job?
Yeah.
And at the end of those 8 years, unemployment went from fucking 8% to 4-something%.
Yeah.
And 20 million people didn't have health care, and marriage equality has happened, and all these things have happened, and people say the country's a fucking mess.
Yeah.
Like, this is a disaster.
Yeah.
Somebody gets up and says it's a disaster, and people believe it, and like, you know what, we want change. This is horrible.
You know, it's so funny.
And now you're like, okay, well, you got change.
You know, I
really
promote. I really promote and salute. You know, all the independent thoughts we've had on this topic, and as we get to reel things in and get ready to move on to our next topic, you know,
Let's spice it up. What's the next topic?
Sex.
God,
we want to bounce to Louis to wrap things up.
intimate.
And in an ideal world, Louis,
Where's
for
Ron?
you, what do you
where's the
see
finger in
the
the
way
bottom?
things were as if you were president? What would you like to see implemented? And I'll wrap it up with my guest's points of view on this question.
Pretty much every topic and every comment that's been made here, from education, you know, it's
Yeah.
I mean, education is not just in a classroom. It has to begin at home. You know,
big.
the kids, and even not our kids, but we ourselves, the parents themselves, have to be educated themselves, have to be conditioned, and, you know, have to know what they're talking about, because it's sad when you see these little 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds going screaming, you know, Trump's the best. The heck do you know? Little snot rag.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it has to be, that has to begin at home.
So, I hear you.
Or even like my sister is like a 8th grade teacher in North Carolina, and she tells me I get 8th graders who read on a 3rd grade level.
That's
How do I get them
Yeah.
in 1 year? And my job is dependent on like them passing this test at the end of the year.
Tough.
But how do I get these 8th graders to read on a they read on a 3rd grade level? They're not going to read on an 8th grade level by the time they finish my
take those,
class
yeah,
in a
those,
year.
yeah.
Tough.
How, like, that is what I mean by education.
Tough.
It's like, you know, yeah, you can have educated fools, which is what I think you were going at. Right? There's a lot of educated fools.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. No, but you know, let me just bring things back, you know, as and what I loved about what I heard as I let everybody just, you know, I didn't want to interrupt. I want everybody to just share their point of perspective on this political climate, and we didn't blame what I heard. Although Trump name was mentioned, it wasn't all a Trump thing. I saw where it was what we can do. Because at the end of the day, that's what I got from this conversation. Is what we can do.
Definitely.
You know, and I really appreciate you guys for your perspective on this. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take a quick break, and allow everybody to refresh themselves as we get back into the last topic of tonight's conversation, which is gonna be sex. And
Let's
sex
talk
from
about you and
SEKS.
And as we try some more of this cake. So for everybody watching, we just want to let you know we're going to be streaming live on our Facebook. We're going to play some of this instrumentals that you're hearing in the background that we'll add in post, so you can kick back and hear what we're hearing. But stay tuned, because we're going to get ready to go to the last section. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Bong, Squirrel Rosenberg Radio. As I said, and when I mentioned the word sex, I wanted to just really get the impact I got from you guys, which is for you to think about the responsibility that comes with it. So, all right, I see Louis got something funny. All right, Louis, what's
Share, please. You have to share.
Yeah,
share that card.
yeah.
I threw a card at him when you said sex. And I said, here you go, Louis.
Oh,
and what does it say?
What was the card say?
What will always get you laid?
Ow!
Nice. So, beautiful segue. Lewis, what's your point of view?
What will always get you laid, Louis? Please tell us, enlighten us.
What's your point of view on sexuality and where we are today?
Well, sex in this day and age is not what it used to be. Back years ago, it used to be considered taboo to talk about.
Which is what we're doing here on Squirrel Rosenberg Radio, is talking about it.
Right, and that was only a topic that you would have when you're behind closed doors, when you're home, when you're with your loved ones. In this day and age, you turn the TV on, you turn on the radio, and sex is just being thrown at us.
The oversaturation.
In every aspect, in the media, in commercials. I mean, this bottle of Heineken. I mean,
It is sexy.
I know.
It is
no.
sexy.
Well, no, see, I wasn't gonna go there.
Okay.
But we won't mention this one beer because, of course, it's all about Heineken. But there's one that used to have very voluptuous women, on the covers.
Which beer was that? Corona?
St. Pauli girl.
St.
Pauli girl. I mean, they had very voluptuous women.
Okay.
Posing
so,
as like that's the thing. It's being thrown at you.
Okay.
The sexuality.
Okay.
And it's not anything to be ashamed of. Be proud. Be happy. Who you are, what you are, gay, straight, bi, purple, orange, whatever. Embrace it. But always, be aware that there is a fine line.
So let me throw this curveball at you.
Mm-hmm.
You have a child you're raising. What's your advice to that child navigating the sexual waters right now?
Be you. Be happy with who you are.
What does that mean?
If you're gay, as long as you're happy and you're careful, knowing all of the diseases that are out there, you have to be educated. You have to know. Be in the know.
So that youngster, that teenager or that preteen who is like, listen, I don't identify with my stereotypical gender. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Where do I build the confidence up to come out? I mean, now things is a little bit more relaxed. But I wanted to hear your perspective on what do you say to that youngster who is not sure on where to move?
I was that youngster. I didn't know which side of the fence I was on.
Wow.
I mean, I got married to a woman. Not for myself. Not to make myself happy. I did it all as show and for family. Because I was afraid of being who I truly was.
What was that like? If you don't mind me asking.
Ooh. It was hard.
Do we need to get some more passion in the spot?
Did you always know on some level, or were you?
When I did, I knew. But once I was married, I was in that relationship, committed wholeheartedly. But I knew that's not what and who I truly was. Because there was that wall that I wasn't able to get through and not be able to really express myself the way a man, should be there for his wife.
And was that on an emotional level or a sexual level or both?
At one point it became both. Emotional? Forget it. I mean, I was a wreck. I mean, I didn't know whether I was coming or going. A lot of times I would just put myself in a nutshell. And I was afraid of saying things, coming out, and just in topics and conversations because I was afraid that, if I say this or do this way, they're going to start questioning. And after a while, I just got to a point where I was just like, fuck it, I'm me. That was after the separation and the divorce and everything. But if I had a child, if I had a son or a daughter, and they came up to me and they told me this, I would be like, as long as you're happy with you, and always know that if you ever have any questions or any doubts with anything, I will always be there. I will be an ear to listen. I will be a shoulder to cry on. I will be, that light to help guide you. I won't turn my back on you.
Because
I won't.
Because your family turned your back on you.
Exactly. And I felt shunned. I felt, thrown aside because of that. But like I tell people, look where I am today. I'm not a drug addict. I never ran the streets. I was always home. I love to read. I'm creative. I'm, musician. I turn that creativity, and love of music into the art that I do today, which is cakes and creating things. And not only do they make me happy, but looking at the expressions when I present, a piece, a work of art, because that's everything. I've never made anything exactly the same. Everything is always different. And just the looks on their faces and their reactions, that's satisfaction for me right there. And that's, what's the word? Oh my God, I can't even think of the word.
Oh.
Yeah, well, yeah. Not acceptance, but it's
I like that.
It's. I just love it. I don't even know how else to explain it. It's. I love making people happy, and I know that's one way. Not only through food, but through something sweet.
The good thing about it is that we can taste it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we can actually taste it in your food, because tonight, and
was
only
delicious.
that,
Everything
not only
you made
that,
is
but in
delicious.
your energy, because before all the guests got here, when we were just getting ready to set up, and you walked in, you were just chatting with Ellie, and I'm like, oh my God, I wish I had a camera here. Literally, the minute I got both of them in the elevator, I'm like, shit, I need a camera in this elevator because the sparks were flying off the wall.
You
but
did say that.
Yeah, but it's just
Reality TV.
yeah. No, but it's just kudos to exactly what you're saying right now. It's just that energy that expounds, which is really what you would transcend to your child or your sibling or whoever it is that's in your care to say, hey, live your life based on who you are. But the reason why I was trying to be devil's advocate is because how do you know who you are at 8, 9, 10?
It's the same
12?
way that a little 6-year-old boy knows that he was meant to be in a little girl's body. They know. We know when something's not right.
Okay.
And it's the same thing with, mainstream, look at Caitlyn Jenner. For years, he identified as a woman.
Yeah.
And he had that hidden for years. And little by little, as the popularity, we started seeing his change was subtle, but little by little you could see. Like I kept saying, I'm like, something's not right. But, it was there. Now, do I agree with a lot of the things and stuff that, like comments that were made about, women and it's so hard with the dresses? No, I totally do not agree with that, because women in this day and age have a lot more on their plate and their mind than worrying about a damn dress that they're going to go buy for a party.
Yeah,
If they have a family, they have
Facts.
kids, they have a job, that's their main priority.
Yeah.
Not, worrying about, what dress am I? No. I like.
I'm just curious about, like, I think a lot of people that struggle with understanding, struggle with like, okay, where does it start? Like where, when, you know, is being LGBT or being transgender or whatever, like, which is also LGBT, but where does, like, are people born, or is it something innate that you feel inside that you know from when you're a child as the same, you know, or is it something that becomes associated? And I think, you know, I'm curious because I just want to know what you think about that, because it's, you know, a lot of people think, oh, well, you're socialized to be that way.
And you're not. And you're not.
Is it innate or is it socialized? Or could it be a mix of both?
It's not socialized. I mean, you're born with it. It's in your genes. It's in your chromosomes. I mean, that's how you're born. You know, I mean, people don't just wake up in the morning and say, oh, I'm gay, or oh, I'm a lesbian, or I'm trans. No.
But
that's how we were created.
I have a question. Do you think in this day and age, and I mean currently right now, do you think that women's roles are being socialized? Do you think there's a boundary of young teen women, young teen girls being socialized into being gay and experimenting at a very young age and kind of portraying like, you know what, just stick with the women. You'll be safer than a man dogging you out. But then they're kind of experiencing that same hurt and that same pain, because love is love.
Exactly.
No matter who it is. You can love your dad and he could still hurt you. You can love your mom and she could still hurt you. Your brother, your cousin. All these people could still hurt you in some kind of way, because it is true love. But do you feel in this day and age, anybody? I mean, I just feel, I've seen a lot of people that I know and a lot of friends who have teenage daughters, and they're just kind of swaying in this direction. And I just feel like it's a social movement more, or socialized, like you were saying, more than it is like, this is who I am, because I've also grown up with a lot of, when I was younger, you know, a lot of my mom's and my dad's friends were, you know, growing up in the Bronx, they were gay and they were open about it. And, you know, it was hard for them, but I grew up in that environment. So to me, that was, okay, that's what you are. But I just see it different for teenage females right now. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I have a
Does anybody
teenage
notice
female.
that?
I think that that in some ways I would hate to be a teenager anything right now. Because
I agree with you 100%.
You know what I'm saying? Because
the world is
as,
following you.
as prejudiced as the world was that we grew up in,
it's even 10 times.
Where it was like you were this or you were that. And now it is, you can be straight, you can be straight up gay, you can be bisexual, you can be transgender, you can be this. There's so many choices.
Yes.
They don't know. Their
So
minds
really,
are, I
you
feel like
already
their
don't know.
minds
Yeah, you
are
already don't-
exploded. So
yeah.
you already
You're
don't
already in
know.
the mix, you don't know.
And then you add all these choices in,
Right.
and then they don't know what the fuck to think. And
Yeah.
they are like
True.
confused out of their
Minds.
minds. Now there's a bad pro and a con. The pro is that, hey, we're more open than we ever were, and like, yeah, people can be many different things, and maybe there are many different things in one lifetime. You know what I mean? Like, maybe there's no right or wrong. And part of being like bisexual is that you're attracted to both, or part of being like, okay, well, if you're transgender, if you're Caitlyn Jenner, are you attracted to men or are you attracted to women? Like, maybe you could be both, right? Like, there are so people have the freedom.
Is that true?
So people have the freedom to
Is it
explore
freedom
who
or
they
is
are,
it
what they
true
like.
essence? Because I feel like you need to be genuine with yourself before you can project.
But what
anything.
if it's everything?
So
And
what
that's
is
the problem.
genuine to you?
It's like
how do you know that's genuine to you? How do you know that's your true self?
couldn't you be transgender, theoretically speaking? Let's just say, let's put all of our body. We're Caitlyn Jenner now. You're Caitlyn Jenner, and you're like, I was a man, and I was married to women, and I've had children, and then now, but I've always wanted to be a woman. But as a woman, maybe I like men and women. Like, I don't know. And I think that is the problem, back to politics, that middle of the country is having.
We don't know.
Because they're like, I want definitions. And we're living in a world where definitions have been obliterated.
Yeah, that's true. That's
And
true.
maybe there should be
So-
no definitions.
so are we
Maybe
gonna-
you should be free.
No, but are we
To be
are-
whatever you
are
wanna
we-
be,
are-
right?
Are we going to be tolerable to the indifferences or to the multiple options that are out there? I mean, that's where we are right now. That's exactly where we
Exactly.
are. And that's why this conversation is
So
so
here's
healthy.
a question: when you say tolerable, are you saying for your own benefit? Or
Yeah.
are you saying to,
Yeah, I love
so
that I
can't-
love that you called me in that statement because you know what's so funny? Let me stick up in there. I went to church once, not once, but I went to church and the pastor mentioned about using the word being tolerable. And tolerable versus I forgot the no, was it accommodate, whatever the term was, but tolerable isn't the word because it means I accommodate you because of or with a reason.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't want to tolerate you. You know, because like for instance, if when you told me that you scheduled us in for the 24th and you were gonna be here, I wasn't gonna tolerate you today. I was looking forward to seeing you today. So there's
There's
a
a
big
difference.
there's a difference there.
Yeah.
To you know,
So,
Yeah.
but the reason why I brought it up is it for you to either be compassionate for or tolerate? So whatever word you choose of this particular person, because I think
Is that a
when-
rooster?
When, ducks.
Canadian geese.
Okay, never mind.
We need to do some control here.
Is like destroying mood. Okay, go ahead.
So I the only reason why I brought it up is I've been kind of holding my tongue because I feel like so yes, so you have like the social pressures you have, but I think when you think of sexuality, it's the same way as the way people view and I'm sure I'm going to get gasps in the room, but the same way as people see civil rights, right?
I had to do it.
that was perfect. That was
So
perfect.
when you think of, you know, because I used to be that person that used to say, hold up, you know, how are you going to equate sexuality to, you know, someone who can't change the color of their skin? But someone can come to you and say, well, I can't change my sexual orientation. I can't change, you know, who I feel I am born as, whether it's trans, whether it's gay, whether it's bisexual, whatever the case may be. So when we say tolerate, he's just laughing at me. I think all of it will come down to so we've crossed like all gamuts, political, whatever. But when you look at it and you say, okay, I'm gonna love someone, I'm gonna love them for unconditionally, and you're gonna love them for whatever flaws that they have, whether they are attracted to male, whether they're black, whether they're, you know, in this
Same
day,
could apply for interracial relationships.
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
in this day and age, you could say, you know, Middle Eastern, Arabic, whatever, because that's kind of the culture that we're in, right? So, you know, we fought to be women and be able to vote. We fought to be people of color and to be able to be segregated into, you know, mainstream. We fought, like, all of these fights that happen, it's for acceptance and to kind of just be the people that we are and feel compassion and love for who we are, right? I think all of it is the same conversation, is what I'm trying to get at. It's the same conversation. It's saying, accept me for who I am, for whatever I am, right? Whether I'm black, whether I'm white, whether I'm a football player, whether I'm, you know, gay, whether I'm, you know, whatever it is that I choose to kind of path that I choose to follow, whether I smoke weed, whether I drink a freaking drink or not. Like, do you see what I'm saying? That there's like always going to be those things that you can judge people of or on. But if you decide to say, you know, this person is, you know, productive, this person is loving, this person is, however you choose to accept that person, it's not because of what their choices are in terms of what makes them happy. Does that make sense?
Dr. Jen, what's your
kind of
point?
saying it's everyone's perspective and mindset of people,
Yeah.
of people in general.
So
Is your
don't
teenage daughter still around?
Nikki? No. She's gone, right?
no, she's sleeping
Oh, she's sleeping.
or on her headphones.
Because you know what you were saying, I do think there's an element of there are a lack of men out there for teenage girls right now
that are performing on a male
but
basis.
but also
the true male essence.
who are not like dating like just who
Yes.
like we're I think we're all used to, okay, you walk in the door, my husband opened doors for me. If we're getting out of the car, he's coming to the other side of the car and he's opening the door.
Chivalry is dead. Get your freak on.
So is it everybody? So is everybody having their own?
That your chick?
So is that everybody having their own perspective
her.
on love and sex, because it's so intertwined? You know, like I had a great conversation with the guys.
I don't know that anybody can really like define it until they, fall into the room and face first. But
no, but you know what's so funny? I had a great conversation with the guys the other night, and what was so profound from a great takeaway.
Here we go.
A great takeaway from a great takeaway from the guy conversation was, as much as it may be physical for us, what I mean is like just like we need to get it in or whatever it is. Let me finish. We also understand it's even more when it's with that person.
Sometimes it,
What do you mean?
take it and let's do this and stop talking and overthink.
You mean on a male perspective?
No.
Or in general?
Could you just let me?
I'm talking about my perspective.
No, I
shut
hear.
the fuck
I hear.
up and let's-
I hear perspective, but at the end of the day, what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
when it's even on that level, let's just take it. When it's with that perfect person, it's even better.
It's heightened.
Yeah.
It's even better
Yeah, it's
than
even better.
just.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although
Okay.
we're physical beings,
Okay.
and that's what the guys when I spoke with the men the other night and we got into this, and I was hearing them meet up.
was
with
my
them.
husband involved in that?
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was.
And what did
But
he
what
say?
I got from
No.
it was just it really
What did
mattered.
you have to share? What did you have to share?
No, it really mattered. No, it really mattered. And that's why I wanted to hear and I also wanted to hear from the woman's perspective. That's why I love this conversation where we're here, discuss and share. Like, hey, we need that. When my wife said, "Yo, just shut the f up and make this happen."
Do you remember? So, European Christmas, or I guess it's January 7th is what we consider because we go by the Julian calendar. So January the 7th is what we celebrate our Christmas as. So, Paul, he's so in tuned, attuned, proper, yeah. So he took me to an Ethiopian restaurant in the snow. It was like the worst snow day. Everybody was supposed to be off the road, and he was like, we're gonna go. And a 20-minute drive took us about an hour and 15. But he made the drive in the truck, and he was just like, he took us to this restaurant. It was kind of dry. It was, all right, we'll have dinner, and I was like, okay, it was nice of him to take me. But we get in the car, and we go to a 7-Eleven because Nikki wanted a snack. She was with us, right? So she goes into this 7-Eleven to get the snack, and it's just, he and I were in the car, in the front seat, and it was just like, la, 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 humdrum. And he reaches over, grabs me by the back of my neck, and he just, like, lays this passionate kiss on me. I'm like, where the fuck did this come from? But it was amazing, and it was like, okay. we
Set
get
the
home.
tone. Set the tone, baby.
Totally unexpected,
He was like, wait a minute.
spontaneous.
Roti bread.
Right? No, seriously. So we get home, and it's on like Donkey Kong, right? And he was like, "What the hell happened?" And I said, "Oh my god." Sometimes, because I wasn't expecting that. Like,
You just need somebody to sweep you off your fucking
grabbed
feet.
me and was like, yeah, she's okay. She's a poor thing. Unfortunately, she
Sorry, I'm
suffers through
cursing
this.
like a sailor.
She suffers through this on a
child,
regular,
right
so she's
there.
okay. But it was unexpected. It was authoritative. It was passionate. It was like I felt wanted at that moment, and it did something. So there is that kind of we go through our day to day and we kind of take things for granted, and that moment was like different. It was I'm taking this time out to let you know how much I need you right now, and it felt good. And I mentioned that to you before.
Yeah, you did, which is
Yeah,
crazy
so
because my I can tell you from the person being on the other end, my mindset wasn't to let me show my wife this. I just wanted to do it, and that's what I did. So, And that's what I love to get out of, this topic on sex.
Can I ask you, like, what in that moment, like, this is your wife, but you had been together for a long time, since you were 16.
Yeah.
So
well, she was 16. I wasn't 16. I was Jamaican. I was like,
50.
forget about it.
And dog years.
I'm Jamaican.
Okay,
I'm Jamaican.
Yeah,
So
dog years.
Jamaican.
what that means is we take them off the bus early. So
There's a
it's
4-year
I got
Okay, what?
between us, almost, right?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
That's not bad. But look,
It
but I
was
want to
3
know what.
years
There's
at
a
a time.
caveat.
I want to know what he was thinking.
No, go ahead.
What made? Okay, so what made you feel in your heart of hearts like, this is my wife? I'm overwhelmed with this feeling. After you've been together for so long.
So there's a caveat. I don't think you and I have ever had an issue in terms of.
No, I know I can answer the question carefully. I mean, when you were asking the question, I knew what it was because it actually brought me back to that feeling.
Because a lot of men, I think, and I'm not talking about my husband, but I'm just saying, like, I think, look, I have a lot of sisters and they've all been married and blah, 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 and it's like, you're together for a long time and you hear this, okay, well, what sparks that? Right?
Yeah.
And I have a sister that's been married 41 years. So it's like, what brings you back to this? I just want to rip your clothes off, blah, blah, blah.
Because then I looked over at her and I realized, and when I said her, I mean, it could be, your significant other, and you just look over and be like, wow, I see the value and how lucky I am to be considered the caretaker of this being.
He shifted his mindset,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You shift your mindset.
Oh, no. It was all this.
And a bag of chips.
She was
And
like,
a 7-Eleven hot dog.
I know how to protectively have anal sex in my kitchen if I needed to, okay? With 25 other soccer moms in the room. I could do that, all right? I could do that.
Was it me glossing my lips, boo?
I love that.
What he's done is he's organically shifted his mindset. Because you can focus on the wrong things and be like, you know what? I hate when she slurps her soup. I hate when she freaking blows her nose in front of me. I hate when she does this. You can focus, or you can focus on, you know what? I value that she's blessed me with 2 girls. I value how she's busted her ass and stayed up at night and made that happen for the 2 companies she's worked for and made her position. I value what she's done. I value that she cooked me that crazy broiled salmon that my mom talks about to this day, like 10 years later. I value those things. So it's a shift in how we're thinking at that moment. And at any moment, at any time, can someone be aroused by someone else?
Yeah.
At any moment.
No, but
it's not just, it's about being wanted, yes, but it's about, can I want you? And can I get you to want me? Anybody could do that at any time.
Yeah.
Like, we could do that right now to each other. Can we?
True.
Can't we?
Yeah, this probably could be a whole different party if we wanted to do
That's
it.
what's up.
No, you're right. Yeah, no, I love what you said, because then, but what's so funny is, oh my God, that was so profound what you said. That was so profound.
I just have to say one minute. I'll be behind the camera. Did I just say that?
That was big. No, but
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's the reporter me, but it's like, do you think that there are a lot of, like, women of today's ilk who don't realize what it takes to inspire that kind of thing in a man? Because my generation, my mother's generation, our generation, we're used to, like, shouldering every fucking thing, working the job, blah, 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 this, that, and the other.
True.
I'm starting to see something in the upcoming generation that's a little different. That's a little entitled. That's a little, it's all about me.
Selfie.
Now, one part of me thinks, okay, well, it's about fucking time, because since the age of time, it's been about everyone else for women. But the other part of me is like, well, men are still men, and men still want things to be about them.
What does that mean?
Men like, or that if it's all about you as a woman, then where do you see where it's about him sometimes? Do you see what I'm saying? Like I may
like
not
that. I like
be
that.
articulating it well, but it's sort
No,
of
I
like,
like that.
okay,
Flip
well, where
side.
do you
Yeah.
see in I read this book called His Knees, Her Knees, and it was like,
It's a great book.
you know that book?
Love that book.
I love that book. It
Love
was
that book.
eye-opening because
Yes.
it was, well, Ron and I read it together, so that's why he's
Aw.
laughing. But
Awesome.
but we read it together, and it was through our pastor at the time, and it was like, you know, they were doing these couple seminars, and we went, and it was, and one of the things is that I think it opened our eyes to was that men's needs and women's needs are two totally different needs. So it's like, if you
Yes.
list 1 through 5, what isn't, like if I went to you and I said, list your top 5, what's important to you, what would it be? And I went to you and I list what's your top 5, what's important to you,
Totally different.
totally different. Like what you think. We're gonna do this separately.
That's like-
because I'm just curious. I want to know if it pans out the way it did for us. But it is very much like we want X, Y, and Z, and men want X, Y, and Z. On that X, Y, and Z, for men, sex, not to be a spoiler, but is like almost number 1.
Yeah, it's got to be up there. I mean,
For women, sex is not number 1.
Sometimes they won't even be number 5.
Sometimes it's not number 5.
Connection.
How do you reconcile that?
Connection. If you connect,
What did you just say? You said,
If
well,
you
for me,
you
it is
connect.
number
Yeah,
1.
yeah, yeah.
you have
Yeah,
to
yeah,
connect
yeah.
because
That's
if you
big.
guys did not,
That's
if you
big.
guys
That's
did
big.
not,
Infinity and beyond.
No,
if you guys
no,
were
that's big.
separated and you guys weren't on the same page, see the thing for you guys is you guys are on the same page mentally. You guys are flowing with each other. That's a blessing. So many couples that don't flow. So many couples like, I do this for a living, you do this for a living. We provide, we're good parents, but in the bedroom, it's like, it's like grinding.
In all fairness, we do have our moments.
Not in the bedroom.
But so the connection on a woman's thing is the draw into the sex for the men on his top thing.
Well, and to be real
But
about
remember, a woman goes into it emotionally.
yes.
A man goes into it physically.
If-
yeah. And that's the difference. So
Right.
for
It should have been me.
so like
when you take
so
your
like
shirt off,
because I'm like and all women are like that. At least like when they take the shirt, it's like, but like I think for us, it's like, okay, Ron works in Connecticut, so it's 5 days a week. I'm not seeing him until 11 o'clock at night, and I work sometimes 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning. So like when
time
he's
is
coming,
just
our
so
time
tight.
is opposite.
Yeah,
so like
yeah.
weekends is the only time we see each other. But it's like, for me, if I'm not seeing you for 5 days out of the week, and I'm shouldering things for 5 days out of the week, and it's like, oh God, I'm facing the same pressures you're
Yes.
facing in terms of your jobs and blah blah blah, and then on
Yes.
top of that, I've got everything the kids are dealing with. So if Imani has a meltdown or Timmy has a meltdown, I'm dealing with it.
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah. Friday comes along, he's like, whatever
you.
you went through, I should be the answer. It should all like the heavens should open, and it's all about the fact that it's on. And it's like whatever is going.
Where's
and I'm just
Marvin when you need him?
And I'm
Where's
just
Marvin
like,
when you need
let's
him,
get
damn it.
on, and that should solve all the ills of
Yeah.
the world. And I'm like, but I'm tired.
Yeah, you're
And
worn
I'm
from.
stressed, and I'm like, and I don't feel sexy, and I'm like,
yeah.
and you know what I'm
Yes.
saying,
Yeah,
and like,
I hear
and
you.
like 5 minutes ago,
I hear you.
Imani was having a meltdown over something,
Yeah.
and it's just like, okay, it just takes me a minute to get in that space.
Yep.
For men, it's like I should be your haven,
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
so speak.
I'm going to plug in right now, March 4th, next Saturday, our house,
Come on,
7
baby.
p.m.
Come on,
Learn
baby.
how to fill your love tank. All is welcome to join
Love
us at our
tank.
house. At our house, come through next Saturday.
Yeah.
How to fill your love tank. We're doing a class.
And to add on
Little
to what she said,
thing.
I mean, I fall in that same situation because I work 4 days, 4 10-hour shifts.
Yeah.
So technically the only day that Oscar and I have to spend together is Wednesdays. Like the full day. because that's the day that we're
And that's
both
your
off.
connect day.
Right. Tuesdays he's off. By the time I get home, I might eat something, and I'll be watching TV. I'll be falling asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, from getting up so early in the morning. And then he works on Thursday. Tonight, he's not. I don't see him. He gets home 5:30 in the morning. Saturday, the same thing.
Yeah.
Sunday, I'll get home about 11. If it's dead, by midnight he'll be home. 1 o'clock.
Do you guys plan a date night? Date night has helped.
That's our Wednesday.
That's what we
Because
That's our
instituted.
Wednesday.
That, in my mind, that makes me look forward to saying, you know what, no matter what, we have this time to, and I'm looking forward to this
yeah,
time.
yeah. Yeah.
It's not like a free throw thing, because when it's a free throw, God knows what's going to happen, because
Yep.
life is going to happen,
Yeah,
our
yeah.
kids are
Right.
going to happen,
Yeah.
shit's going to happen.
Yeah.
But when we plan it and it's on the calendar, and actually for years it pops up. Every Wednesday, it's a reminder that Friday's date night. So we actually change it. Wednesday's really like our time, and then something on the weekends, we'll figure it out. But really, it's like we have a set time, and it's like no matter what, come through for each other
That's
in
our
that time.
time.
No matter what. I mean, something
Yeah.
really has to happen for us not to come through at that time.
That's
But at least
amazing.
it's scheduled. And it sounds corny, but it's like everything else.
You schedule
You
it.
You have
want
to
that
schedule time.
interview,
You need
you
to.
want that, schedule it. If you're that damn busy, schedule it, and it will happen.
Yeah.
If you're not that busy and you can do it on a free flow, by all means do it. But you got to do what works best for you and your lifestyle at this time.
And
Schedule it.
And you know
put
what
it in.
is?
Put it on your iPhone. Put it in the family Google Calendar. Don't knock on mom and dad's door. Do not knock on our door.
And you know
That's
that
Uber it. Lift it. Uber it. We'll pick you
completely
up.
forgot
I just
what I
need
was
to know
gonna
who you're
say.
with. FaceTime the
No,
freaking
no.
license plate. Whoever's driving you. I
No,
do
but,
something.
You know what's so funny and so therapeutic about this, because the conversation we're having, all mom and dads, all couples, all relationships
couples
are going through this, and they're hearing that, hey, we need to specifically make that time. You know, the funny thing about it is my wife and I we're like almost in the retirement mode right now, with our kids being so self-proficient, and you know, we don't have to, you know, and I agree with you. You must schedule that time, but we don't even have to schedule it because it happens.
Yeah,
And I
because we're
still-
at the age where kids are that age.
Yeah, and I still like her, so we'll get home and we'll just chill.
That's what I'm terrified about. It's like, okay, maybe you guys can speak to this, but Timmy's still in high school. Imani's about to go to college, and I'm sitting here like, okay, in 2 years, Timmy's going to be out too. Our lives for the last 18 years have revolved around our kids. 18 years.
That seems so foreign to me. I
particularly
think about that, and
mine.
I'm like,
Oh yeah,
Particularly
I
my
don't
life
know
as the
anything
mother.
else.
yeah.
As a mother,
yeah.
your life really like revolves around your kids. How
True.
like, and so now I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? Okay, what am I gonna do when
Start
they're
getting
gone?
yourself ready
What's
for
gonna
that
happen?
empty nest syndrome.
What's gonna happen? What is my life about? What is our life about? Is he gonna still like? Are we gonna? Where?
Is he still gonna like me? Is he gonna want to be
What's
with
gonna
me? I mean,
happen?
the kids aren't
schedule
here
it
anymore.
from now.
I
Schedule it from now.
it's
Yeah.
easier said than done, right? So I can empathize with you because I feel that because he has this project that he's kind of taken on, and all I have is like work, and I feel like, okay,
Yes.
what's going to happen? Because for a really long time it was me going to the soccer games, me going to the swim meets, and then finally I just kind of had this meltdown and I said, it's just me, and it's embarrassing to be on the soccer field and other moms have their husbands and you're not there. And he made that change really quickly. I mean, he was just like, I'm there, and so then we kind of shared that responsibility, and it was just like amazing how he heard what my issue was and what my gripe was, and then he adjusted, right? And he's great at doing that. Similarly, like when Naomi went off to college, and she doesn't need us as much, and I was just kind of trying to hold on and grasp, and he was like, just let her do her thing, and it took me a while to let go. Now it's Nicole, and I feel like between Naomi and Nicole, I've kind of learned how to just, because I don't really ride Nikki as much as I used to ride Naomi, and accepted that. But he and I have always had this friendship relationship,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, where we've always
I think
kind of
that's where
hung out
it's
together.
key,
We've
yeah.
always kind of shared, maybe because we've been together so long and kind of grew up together, where we can, you know, have these conversations and
even if we're mad at each other, or even if I think we can.
I think I could be as bold and say, if we weren't together, we would be very good friends.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I wouldn't let her drive me
Freaking
everywhere.
tequila and sushi, magical.
Wait,
No,
wait.
I'm joking. I love you guys. I'm joking.
Yeah.
No.
But you know what? So
Wait a minute. The driving thing. We're gonna go back. Wait.
Let me reel things in.
You've been reeling us in for the last half hour. Okay.
Let me
We're
reel
not
things.
going to
Could
be
I just
reeled
make
in.
I've never been in an accident. and I don't get
let me
sick.
reel
have
things in.
started this
Let
and now you can't rein
To my
it in.
guest, Louis, go.
Okay, I mean, in any relationship,
Hey, Domingo,
it's
can I have a
not.
Heineken, please?
It's not. One person putting more than the other. People think that a relationship is 50-50. No, it's not. A relationship is 100% of each person to make that relationship work.
I love
You just
that.
dropped
So
the mic.
that's the
Foundation.
mantra.
You just dropped the
That's the
mic.
mantra. That's
Foundation.
gonna say, relationship is 100%
Of each person.
Of each person. Louis, but besides, so let's just stay focused here, everybody, on Squirrel Rosenberg Radio and Squirrel Rosenberg TV. We love when jewels are dropped, and one of the most significant jewels that was just dropped is Jules is my guy. Louis just saying
drooling.
it's not. Say it again.
We're drooling over what you said.
That it takes. I mean, that it takes each person putting 100% of
100%.
themselves in to make a relationship work.
I love
Because
that's profound.
if each person puts in 50%, you're only going to be getting 50% of
But
a relationship.
100%, and every line I drop is the cute.
Ooh, the hip hop quotable. The hip hop quotable. The hip hop
First of all,
quotable.
I walked in this mug thinking that she was like, oh, okay. First, I thought you were a producer. I was like, oh, she's a producer like me. I'm gonna go
thanks.
identify.
Hi, yeah, I would love
so
to
I
be a
thought you were
producer.
the producer, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to producer. And then I was like, okay, she's a mom. Okay, blah blah blah. No, you were like a fucking DJ who knows every line of every hip hop song, and even then some.
Yeah, that's
and I'm like, what
that's
the
hidden
fuck?
gem of Dr.
Just,
J here.
like, who is this person?
Yeah, that's
and
that,
then
yeah.
you like, I'm Syrian and Puerto Rican and everything under the sun.
Yeah, that's
and I'm like,
that's
oh my
Dr.
God,
Dr. Jen.
like, can
yeah.
I worship at your feet?
Yeah,
I'm like,
this
what
Dr.
is
Jen.
going on?
Yeah, this is Dr. Jen here.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, this is Dr. Jen
This
here
is
who
homage.
brings that flavor.
This is homage.
Thank you.
But
Right.
ladies and gentlemen,
Lift me away.
I want to wrap as we get to come to the end of this great interview, and I just want to remind everybody. I mean, I wish you could be here, and I know you're going to be here when we get the Facebook streaming going on. Fortunately enough, we left Audacity recording, so all the B footage and the raw audio is still there. But in closing, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to, number one, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I mean, round of applause for everybody. Oh my God.
Honor of my sister-in-law.
Leon Margarita. Yes. Cheers.
No, you drop some you drop some jewels. you share some organic stuff. I want to give a big shout out to our guest Lois, who's definitely brought
thank you.
great flavor.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Nika, Ellie, Jen,
Sabor.
Dr. Rodriguez, who's been in the house, but we're getting ready to close. And one of the topics we took a break on is, and I asked my guest this before we close, was, here's the mantra: you want to leave a wise word of wisdom to your kids about sex before you leave this earth. What do you say? What would you tell that loved one about sex? So I'm gonna start with Ellie. What would you leave to the girls regarding sex?
In today's term, you have to think that kids are not waiting until they get married. So I think it's what I have told my girls, and what I will continue to tell my girls, is that make sure that they educate themselves in terms of their body, not necessarily, when you preach the whole safe sex thing, I think it kind of just, they shut down because you're talking about something that they're uncomfortable about. But when you tell them to really understand what their bodies are telling them, so understanding what birth control works for them, what medications work for them, what their cycles are doing, what they feel during that time of the month, and all of those things kind of really speak to their sexuality as well, right? So when you're comfortable with yourself, you're comfortable with your partner. If you're confident in knowing who you are, then you're comfortable with what you're going to be doing with your partner. So that's what I teach my girls. So and perspective is the other thing. You know, one kid I told something to, and I took them to, you know, a doctor, and I said, you know, the conversation doesn't have to be between you, me, and the doctor. It can be you and the doctor. It's private. You can say whatever you need to say. If you have questions, I'm here. And I'm going to do the same with my other kid when I feel like they're ready. You know, I wouldn't say approach it sooner than necessary, and you'll know when they're ready. But I think being comfortable with who you are, knowing what makes you happy, and then understanding your physical being all adds to being comfortable and happy in your sexuality. So
a sexual awareness overall.
yeah. So
Omnika.
and not being afraid to have that conversation.
That's your last.
Okay, that we can do that. Dr. Rodriguez, what's your thoughts on you're gonna be leaving some safe word to your kids about sex and sexuality? What would that be?
Yeah. Don't do it because that's what you're supposed to do at that time, because you're being rooted on to do it at that time, because you think that's what he or she wants. Do it because in the pit of your stomach, that intuition, what God has given us, that feeling, follow that feeling. That feeling will never steer you wrong. If you feel it's not right, stand up and say, you know what? I don't want to. Man, woman, follow your gut feeling and education. Education and correlation. To me, the correlation is the gut feeling at that moment, at that time. Whether you're my son or my daughter, you know. As a woman, I know, you know, we all remember our first time, our second time, our fifth time.
Yeah.
You know that feeling. Is it right? Does it feel right? Is this the person you really want to be vulnerable to? If it's not, don't do it because he's pressuring you, because he wants it at that moment, or she does at that, in the same perspective. And then education. Same thing like Ellie was saying. Know your body. Love yourself 101%. Love yourself first, because the minute you start unappreciating your body, your left boob is bigger than your right boob, or whatever the situation is, love everything about yourself. Because the minute you can love everything about yourself, then you can predetermine what you want to do with your body. Yeah, that's
Wow.
it. Education,
that.
correlation.
Louis, what are you leaving to your kids? What gems are you dropping on the young ones that are blessed to be in your presence and in your care regarding sex and sexuality?
The most important thing is, you know, be educated, be aware, be informed. You know, don't jump into a relationship, or into not even a relationship, into a sexual relationship if you feel that you're being forced. Because if you're being forced, you know, or peer pressure or anything like that, then that means you're not ready. And that's how, accidents, things happen. You know, if you feel that you're being forced or coerced, or, you know, you just like Dr. Jen said, you know, listen to your gut, that little voice in the back of your head, which resides down in the pit of your stomach. If your stomach starts flipping, then you better listen, because that'll never steer you wrong. Because that is you telling you, don't do it.
So as your being that's subjected on being in your care, that's what you would tell me. Listen to that inner.
Listen to
And,
that
and that's
inner
what
voice.
I've heard across the table. Is, and you know, so funny is, you know, we left out Omnika because you wanted time to meditate on the question. So now it's your turn.
No. So
What do you tell your kids in terms of a safe mantra, a safe word, or safe thing about sex and sexuality?
So all of you have spoken to the idea of, like, if it doesn't feel right, you know, listen to your gut, all of that. I grew up like loving romance novels and things like that, so I'm going to give a more romantic notion. And that is, I know, it's like,
Don't get corny.
It's really corny.
Napkins for everybody.
It's very, very corny. It's very
Napkins on the table. Go ahead.
But so my question is, would you die for this person? And
That's another level.
now, of course, now we have kids that are just having sex to have sex,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everybody's
yeah.
just having sex to have sex. But now that we live in the age of very deadly diseases, would you literally die for this person? And full circle to what we were talking about earlier, my father had died of HIV. So, would you die for this person? And that's the question that sometimes you have to ask. We live in a world of safe sex and all of that kind of stuff, and everybody knows what it means to have safe sex. So I tell my kids, no matter what, have safe sex. If you're gonna have sex, I'm not gonna pretend that you're not having sex. I'm not gonna pretend that you're not gonna have sex before you're married. It's going to happen. I get that, but would you die for this person? And
I love that.
And so
That's major.
if you would not die for this person, do not have unsafe sex with them.
That was major.
That's number one.
Yeah, that was big.
But number two, on the other level, one of my favorite poems was this poem by an African-American slave called Georgia Douglas Brown, and one of her poems, and Ron knows this because I've said it to him before, but I want to die while you love me.
I want to die
while you love me, while yet you hold me fair, while laughter lies upon my lips and lights are in my hair. I want to die while you love me, for something about bear to that still bed your kisses to warm me while I'm dead. If you don't have that kind of love in your heart for the person that you're with at the end of the day, then that is not who you should be with.
Wow, that was profound.
Then it's all for naught.
Yeah,
Right?
That was profound.
When I die, I want him to be there.
Yeah.
He knows this. I want him to be there because he's who, you know what? You have a child. My mother had me. I'm sure she, sun rose and set with her children. But at the bottom line is, when my children are gone, when our children are gone, I have him. Is this a person that you want to die with? That is the question when you decide who you're going to lay your life down with. That was
profound. That
is
I can't even
what
think
I
about
want them to think about.
Yeah, what's so funny is I was thinking about something to hit this thing out of the park, something profound to wrap this up, but I cannot think of anything more profound than what you just said. Because if we, when I sat with the guys and I said sex and sexuality is like an Excalibur sword. However, that in itself doesn't really equate to what you just said. And what I mean by that is, am I willing to die for this person? Because if I walk into a club and met this young lady, and let's say, and I'm like, let me talk to her. And before I even ask her, I try to get into her psyche. I'm like, am I willing to die for this chick? No, I'm not. So let me just keep it.
I step in front of a bullet for you.
I don't know. But what's so funny is, and it goes back to the sexuality thing, and I'm going to be very vulnerable here. When I make love or have sex with my wife, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing that. So if I were to, like you say, am I willing to die for her? Yes, I am. It doesn't take me a millisecond to think about that. Your schemes, and you look at something that seems attractive and you go, oh, she's banging or whatever. But am I willing to die for her? No, I'm not. So I would like for everybody on Squirrel Rosenberg Radio, every time we have an interview, there's something that I take away that sticks with me. And I want to thank you for being here tonight because that's what's sticking with me. Am I willing to die for that person? Am I willing to sacrifice my life for that loved one? And I'm pretty sure the loved ones that we have right now, we wouldn't even think twice because guess what? Those are the person we're supposed to be with. We're not going to hesitate. So I think if we can, let me think about this. If we can get that to our young people, before you take your pants off, are you willing to die for that person? Then we can really open up the eyes and the minds of these young people and maybe have a more responsible society. So with that saying, I love when jewels are dropped, and you did drop some jewels on us tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Jennifer Rodriguez for being here. Louis the Baker, thank you so much.
Yes.
Oh my God. Amika, those jewels of gems you left us with. Ellie. Thank you guys for tuning in. I want to leave for glasses. Say to continued fellowships, wisdom, and benefits to each all. Squirrel Rosenberg Radio, Squirrel Rosenberg TV. Thank you all. Thank you.